Yaani mpaka huyu wakili akakuwa na makaratasi.
Maya, leo utaniambia utoka wapi ama pia utanificha?
Sikiliza wewe. Kama huwezi niongelesha mimi kwa heshima, tafadhali usiniongeleshe.
Umeshindwa baba. She is too much for you.
Kwambia kwa hiyo nyumba ni sukari tu, sugar sukari.
Wanalitanga baby face mheshimiwa.
Wewe nani?
Si mimi baby face.
Wewe ni baby face.
Si ndio?
Niangalia.
Angalia. Nilikwambia sikutaki.
Nani anakutaka kwanza?
Kwa umenitungia ni organize form ya kwenda Mayolos.
Nitatoa nguo. Nitalaani nyinyi. Nakucheza na shida.
Do you have any idea what we could do with that much wealth? You can make any note that you want. One the brown one is my favorite.
I have lost a grand total of 28,400 and I'll be very happy if I can get it by next week.
At next week? How about later today? Next week is a long time from now. We might just get another excuse. Today, para.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
Good morning, you're watching KBC Channel 1 and Thursday is the new Friday. If we don't tell you it is, then who will? Good morning, I'm Regina Manyara. The crew is ready to give you some bit of information as well as some entertainment, being that our Thursday, well, marks our Friday, so to speak. So we'd want to know where you are watching this particular broadcast from. Include your name and your location. How about you meet the rest of the crew? There they are. Let's meet the rest of the crew. There they are. Waza. Hapa ni free range. Watu waji introduce. Free range. It reminded me of another movie called forget the name. Nimekumbuka tu saina nikasahau. It involves
Tintin.
No. A turkey that was pardoned. And then it went back in time to try and stop the first Thanksgiving where turkey became a staple. Nikikumbuka nitawaambia. Free range birds.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, good morning. Karibuni sana to the program. I am Jade Mboy. As always, we appreciate that you always make time to start your morning with us right here on Good Morning Kenya. As Ray has rightfully put it, it is Thursday here, and as we always say, Thursday is the new Friday. Karibu. Victor.
Talk of free range. I don't know what Doreen Arangi will talk about that. We all know what free range is all about.
Yani snack.
Turkey, nini, and we talk of turkey and kuku. That, according to some people, that's mboga. Yes.
Na wengine ni snack.
Ni snack.
Doreen.
Na wengine hata wapendi hizo vitu.
Ni snack, unakula kanjugu. Ka drumstick. Sure.
Mabawa ya kusafisha sahani.
Mpaka na the bones, like you leave nothing to chance.
The bone is the crunch.
Yeah.
You leave nothing to chance.
Okay. All right. Good morning once again. It's a pleasure to have you once again. It's Thursday, the 4th day of the month, and we just hope that you're having a fantastic start of the day. So far, so good. The week is coming to an end again. So slowly, the year itakuwa imeisha, and then we call it colors. But nonetheless, again, we have to do this. Where are you watching us from? Please tell us. We'll be glad to hear from you. My name is Victor Lowe. Karibu to the show. Doreen.
Slowly by slowly the year itakuwa imeisha. Like
Yeah.
Regina always asks, have you achieved all that you had set to achieve? What are you grateful for? What are you thanking God for, even if you've not achieved what you wanted to achieve? Sometimes you just gotta be grateful that you still are here. But we still want to thank you so much for making time. I mean, we always appreciate you every Monday through Thursday, just waking up from your bed, tuning on your TV, sticking through from the beginning up until 10 a.m., sending you feedback. We always appreciate it. That's why we are here to give you nothing but the best. And being a Thursday, time to take it easy, make it light. We have so much in store for you, especially in matters entertainment, mpaka mwisho. So stick around till 10 a.m. Many thanks for making time. I'm Doreen Arange.
Now, being Entertainment Thursday, Kenyans I can see have made time to be with us, just as we always do, Monday through Thursday. Kuna mtu anauliza kwani ala meamua kwenda kienyeji. I don't know what that means. Kienyeji.
Wewe Regina, you shouldn't be talking of kienyeji. Wewe ni Kenbrew.
Okay. Victor inakaa na
kienyeji na broiler.
Kienyeji Kenbrew means.
Sorry?
Kienyeji.
Yes.
What do you mean when kienyeji? You know, in reference to
legit
a person.
stuff. Legit stuff.
Oh, legit.
Yes.
Ni kienyeji.
Everything about you is legit. That is what it means.
That's one way to look at it.
Yes.
Okay.
Kitu authentic.
Kitu authentic ni kienyeji.
Original.
Original. We naleta na karanga 2 hours baada hivi.
Allah.
We all know how kienyeji chicken is being cooked.
But that's not what
Kienyeji
you're
ni
referring to.
Hardcore.
Hey.
Unaweka magadi.
Hiyo ndio baba na mama ya nyumba.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Okay. What's the opposite of kienyeji? Broiler.
Yes.
Yeah, so hail to the broilers out there. No problem. My
hybrids. The hybrids as well.
Yeah.
Oh, and the hybrids, yeah? The combination of kienyeji and broiler tunapata kroila ama?
Kenbrew. Kuna kroila. By the way, there's actual bird breeds, chicken breeds. Yenye inaitwa Kenbrew na kroila. Kroila is the most recent one.
Hey,
Kenbrew ni ya kitambo. Hiyo tumeilima na baba yangu. Hiyo kitu inastunya.
Hiyo ni agri.
Imesimama.
Inajazanga, iko na nyama. Ni softness ya broiler and the density ya kienyeji.
Aya. So tuko na kienyeji, kroila,
Kenbrew
na Kenbrew.
Na broiler sasa.
Hapo katikati tafadhali. Pick one side, go with it, run with it. Anyway, before we speak matters entertainment, how about to find out what has been making headlines in as far as news is concerned? Remember, you can get further details on our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke. Now, without further ado, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha says the half-term break announced by the government on Tuesday applies to both secondary and primary school learners. Magoha appealed to guardians to consult their children during the break in the coming 15 days. Magoha's remarks come even as a spate of school fires continued, with the latest 2 incidents reported in Kisii County.
The Ministry of Education had announced on Tuesday, without much clarity, that students will be granted a midterm break. It was assumed that the break was only meant for secondary school students in the wake of a spate of unrest that has seen wanton destruction of property.
I would like to say that our circular for the half-term, which was released by Dr. Juan yesterday, is for all students. It's not only for high school students. So that circular is for all children, and by the grace of God, on the 19th of this month, all children go home. The ones in boarding schools, even the ones in day schools, they stay at home with their parents for a few days just to suck the breast, and then they come back.
Magoha urging parents to be a source of guidance to their children during the short midterm break. The latest spike in school fires has stoked fears that it may be yet another season for euphoric chaos in secondary schools. 2 fire incidences have been reported in 2 different schools in Kisii County.
The area member of parliament bought 50 mattresses and 50 blankets because we still have some space remaining so that the students will be able to share their affordable accommodation as we are making arrangements or putting up additional boarding facilities.
One incident was reported at Nyabigena Boys High School in South Mogirango and the other at Amabuko Secondary School in Nyaribari, Masaba.
Now, in a bizarre incident in one of the learning centers that is in Getondo, where fear has gripped parents and pupils of Kamwangi Primary School in Getondo North Sub-County, where more than 10 girls in grade 2 and 3 have allegedly been possessed by evil spirits disrupting learning. According to witnesses, the girls were crawling, wailing and uttering incomprehensible words before falling unconscious.
The incident is said to have occurred in the presence of parents who had been called for a meeting after another incident on Friday last week, in which 6 girls were reportedly possessed by spirits.
We find a few pupils fall, but what we usually do, invite the medical personnel, and then what happens is that they are able to go through or assess the situation, and what was found is that they had no charities.
The area sub-county education officer, the school board and some parents took the affected pupils to the nearby Igegania Level 4 hospital.
The situation was known that there was no medical issues surrounding the falling of the children. So what now they did as a community is to have those pastors, the parents, the staff and the board of that school. They decided to play together with the children, and by late afternoon they were all settled and well.
Mudhomi said medical results showed the girls were fine and they were released to their homes. Mudhomi cautioned locals against condemning the school and accusing it of harboring evil spirits, assuring them that the investigations were ongoing to unearth the cause of the mayhem.
That's what you term as the bizarre, but I pray that the 10 students actually get reprieve from whatever is ailing them, spiritual, medical, be as it may. Imagine the worry that the parents and the guardians are in at this point. Now, more than 23 counties could soon be food insecure. The weatherman has warned that failed or low rains being experienced countrywide could exacerbate the drought situation. The Kenya Meteorological Department has called for the adoption of mitigation measures, including water harvesting, to avert dire consequences of drought.
The Meteorological Department has issued an alert on the worsening drought situation owing to the continued rainfall failure. The November weather outlook indicates that the Lake Victoria Basin, highlands west of Rift Valley are likely to experience near-average rainfall. The southeastern lowlands, northwestern, northeastern and the coastal strip are likely to experience between near-average to below-average rainfall. This does not augur well for November, the peak month for the October, November and December short rains. Assistant Director of Climate Services at the Meteorological Department, Dr. Richard Mwita, attributes the situation to La Nina.
Na ambao unajidhihirisha katika bahari ya Pasifiki ya kati na pia Pasifiki ya mashariki. Kwamba kuna msukumo wa viwango vya joto katika bahari hizi na ambao kawaida ukiwa upo chini ya kiwango cha kawaida husababisha hali ya ukame katika maeneo mengi ya Afrika Mashariki.
Should the conditions persist, the country might be staring at a worse drought situation in a larger part of the country.
Kisa na maana ni kwamba iwapo mvua ambayo itashuhudiwa katika maeneo haya mengine kama vile mwambao wa pwani, maeneo yaliyo kusini mashariki mwa nchi kama vile Ukambani, ni kwamba huenda isifikie kiwango cha mvua ambacho huwa kinatarajiwa katika mwezi huu wa Novemba na labda pia katika msimu mzima wa vuli ambao ni Oktoba hadi Disemba.
The expected near average rainfall could provide sufficient soil moisture for agricultural productions but may hamper post harvesting activities.
Huenda labda yakaathirika katika swala kuu la uvunaji, kwa sababu huenda ule uvunaji ukawa umelingana na ile hali ya mvua. Kuna ile sehemu ambayo mmea hauhitaji maji mengi. Kwa hiyo wakulima labda itabidi wawe waangalifu, waangalie katika kule kupima ni jinsi gani wanaweza wakaweza kutengana ama kujiathari na labda chakula chao baada ya kukua kisije kikaharibiwa labda na kuwepo kwa mvua nyingi.
The Meteorological Department has advised Kenyans to adopt mitigation measures as the dry spell may prevail beyond January, which is considered a generally dry month.
Labda kile kizuri ni kujaribu kuteka na kutega maji iwapo mvua itaendelea kuonekana katika maeneo yale, japo itakuwa kidogo. Wao wamejipanga labda kibinafsi, labda swala kula kuweza kutathmini bajeti zao kama huenda zikawasimamia katika swala kula chakula.
The department is now calling on a collective responsibility from Kenyans, the national and county governments as well, in their bid to inform Kenyans on the best practices to better the lives around them as far as weather is concerned. Yusufar reporting from the Met Department, Nairobi.
Water harvesting might just save us, especially if you have, provisions to store this particular water. Now, crossing over to the political scene, Deputy President William Ruto has scoffed at plans to eject him from the Jubilee Party for allegedly shifting his allegiance to the United Democratic Movement. Ruto, who spoke during his bottom-up approach charm offensive in Kiambu and Murang'a counties, claimed those targeting him and his allies are supporting the ODM party, and that the wise thing would be to fold the Jubilee Party.
Reports of an upcoming National Delegates Conference by the ruling Jubilee Party, where top on the agenda would be to ratify coalition talks with like-minded parties and a plot to eject Deputy President William Ruto, have not gone down well with him. Ruto, who was in Kiambu and Murang'a counties to popularize his hustler narrative, claimed no one has the liberty to kick him from the Jubilee Party and accused a section of key Jubilee leaders of dallying with their opponents.
Vile mulivunja chama ya Jubilee na mkaisambaratisha, sisi tayari tumejipanga ndani ya chama ya kazi ni kazi, kwa sababu sisi sio watu wa kitendawili. Yani nyinyi mnatuambia kwamba tumepoteza kabisa akili, tumekosa mpango, tumeishiwa, mpaka sisi tunaambiwa ati twende tufuate mtu ya kitendawili. Hiyo ni madharau makubwa sana, my friend.
Nyinyi wenyewe ambao mlikuja kutangaza ati ya kwamba mnafukuza sisi, muko katika chama ya ODM. Sio kufukuza watu. Mimi ningewauliza kwa heshima, hiyo chama ilikuwa inaitwa Jubilee, tufanya liquidation, kila mtu arudishiwe share yake.
Ruto said as such, the disarray in Jubilee Party has derailed its agenda.
Hawa wageni walitutembelea, walikuja na mambo mengi, wakalete rege, wakalete kitendawili, wakazusha mpaka ile program yetu ikachelewa. Mimi nataka niwaambie hivi, tukienda mbele lazima tukubaliane vile tutaenda mbele katika mpango tulikuwa nayo, na ndio mulisikia juzi pale Kirinyaga nikisema mwaka ujao ile kazi ambayo hatukutimiza ya Big Four tayari tumeipangia ndani ya bottom up.
Ruto, who also launched the Wakili Edward Murio Pesa Mfukoni Bursary Fund that targets 10,000 vulnerable learners in Gatanga constituency, however said he'll fulfill the promises if elected as president next year.
Sisi tumejipanga sawa sawa, na naamini ya kwamba mwaka ujao kwa mapenzi ya Mungu kazi ambayo tulisema itaendelea, kazi itaendelea, kitenda hili haitaanza, rege itakwama.
Well, kama rege itakwama au la, we will be here as KBC Channel 1 to give you the updates. Now, the enhanced mass voter registration exercise has been extended to November 9th. The exercise was initially meant to end on November 2nd. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, was compelled to make the extension by the courts.
The IEBC says the voter registration exercise will stretch until November 9th, 2021, pending the hearing of their appeal against the extension to be heard on Thursday. The IEBC warned that the extension by the High Court in Eldoret had far-reaching ramifications on their budget. The body confirmed that it is struggling financially and that extension of the voter registration exercise will deplete their meager resources.
You have up until the 9th to register as a new voter or even check the details on the IEBC register now that that deadline has been pushed to 9th of November. To the corridors of justice, the Law Society of Kenya has filed a petition requesting the court to order the release of lawyer Professor Wilson Nandwa and his client Elgiva Bwire within 24 hours. LSK wants the court to prevail upon the Attorney General, the Director of Public Prosecution, mobile service provider Safaricom, and the police to facilitate the request. Wilson Nandwa and his client disappeared on the 28th of October.
7 days since the disappearance of lawyer Professor Wilson Hassan Nandwa and his client Elgiva Bwire, the Law Society of Kenya has now filed a petition against the Attorney General, the Director of Public Prosecution, the Inspector General of Police, Safaricom Limited, and the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, seeking for Professor Nandwa and his client to be produced. LSK has also sought the court to compel Safaricom Limited to supply phone call records, BTS records, and logs of lawyer Professor Nandwa and his client Elgiva Bwire from Thursday the 28th of October at 9 a.m. to the 2nd of November 2021 at midnight. Meanwhile, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, in conjunction with the judiciary, has launched a system review for the judiciary focusing on areas of project management, registry, and records management.
Fighting and winning the war against corruption will not be won by isolated and sporadic acts focused on incidents of individuals caught in the act, as it were.
We shall have improved in the efficiency of delivery of service.
To declare systems reviews into project management, register and records management processes of the judiciary officially launched.
According to the EACC chair, Eliud Bukala, 2 teams will undertake the review focusing on project management and registry and records management. That will take 25 and 43 weeks respectively. In the last 5 years, 169 corruption cases resulted in convictions, 25 billion shillings were recovered, and the EACC averted 30.4 billion shillings. The International Anti-Corruption Day will be held on the 9th of December 2021 in Mombasa and Isiolo counties.
Mid-October 2021, about 3 weeks ago, 4 elderly persons, 3 women and a man, were literally frog-marched from their homes in Kisii County to an open field. They did not return to their houses. They were lynched. What triggered the killings? Our features reporter Nisi Imano with the lynching of witches.
A village in shock. 3 families have just been thrown into mourning. This is at Marani in Kisii County. The deceased did not die of sickness or accident. No. They were frog-marched from their houses to an open field where they were hacked by machetes and then set ablaze. This after the 3, a man and 3 women, were allegedly linked to witchcraft.
Kukuwa na kitu ya kudhibitiza ama exhibit ya kusema kulikuwa uchawi mahali. Na hata hao watu wenye waliuliwa ama walichomwa sio watu ambao walipatikana nje ya boma zao, ni watu walikuwa miji yao, waliendewa asubuhi wakachukuliwa na watu na hao watu wakawaua. Ni watu wamechomwa katika hali isiyoeleweka.
The lynching happened on October the 17th. Fast forward to 10 days later. A somber mood is discernible in Mwamonari village at the burial ceremony of one of the victims. 62-year-old Sigara Onkware Sigara was among the 4 lynched on the same day on claims of practicing witchcraft. Others include Jemema Mirongo, who is 60, 57-year-old Agnes Ototo, and 85-year-old Sindege Mayaka. The day preceding Sigara's funeral, we visited some of her family members, yet to come to terms with what befell their kin.
Mama yangu kitu na mwangu kitu maneno ya samba. Wanamwona hapa wanamkimbiza na panga. Tena yakuja asite mama yangu alichoa mara fanya nini wakimbiza wafanya nini? Akaenda.
Nimelelewa hapa. Sijai sikia tie ni mchawi hata siku moja. Sasa hiyo mambo imekuja jana kigafla. Tumeshinda nini mbaya?
While sorcery might sound an outdated practice, it is a familiar and common cultural practice in some African communities, appreciated and feared in equal measure.
We must really understand where this came from. We have soothsayers, we've had diviners, we've had healers, we have medicine men and women, and all these other categories that have all been lumped into the thing of witchcraft.
In this case in Kisii, it is suspected that relatives are setting up their kin for mob justice with a view to eliminate particularly the elderly, the widows, or the mentally sick, to dispossess them of property or fast-track the inheritance process.
To therefore lynch older women on whatever grounds is unacceptable, traditionally, culturally, but also by law. The core issue is really land, property.
So worrying is the trend that Kisii County Governor James Ongwae has appointed a task force to unearth reasons behind the extrajudicial killings.
The women who died in a shameful manner in the hands of fellow villagers deserve that justice, the just governance of men.
Na hii kamati ikimaliza ni maneno, baada ya uchunguzi itafanywa hapa na sehemu zote za Kisii County.
6 suspects were arrested over Marani witchcraft killings and arraigned before Justice Rose Ougo. They were Amos Nyakundi, Crispin Ogeto, Peter Angwenyi, Brian Mecha, Ronald Ombati, and Justin Morara, who pleaded not guilty to murder charges. Justice Ougo set November the 9th of 2021 as the date for hearing application for the suspect's release on bond, while the hearing of the case will commence on the 16th of December, the year 2021. One can only hope that this alarming trend of cold blood murder of the old persons will come to an end. Old is gold, the saying goes. But with the plight of the old in this case, is old still gold in this age? Reporting for KBC, I'm Nisi Imano.
In case you missed the rerun of that particular piece, it's available on our channel at KBC Channel 1, as well as further details in regard to the task force there, and also those who have been arrested following, the lynching of that 79-year-old woman in Kisii 2-3 weeks back. You can get all these details on our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke. For now, we take a quick breather. Thank you very much, Jackson Kihara there for tuning in, as well as Tom Mwema. The rest, you can also tune in. You can find us on our various social media platforms. On Facebook, we are streaming live, as well as YouTube. Let's link up after this.
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest breaking news, entertainment, sports, politics, lifestyle, or business trends from Kenya and around the world. Never miss new episodes from your favorite TV shows, reruns, and movies. Just stream online or watch live on your YouTube channel at KBC Channel 1 TV shows. For the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news, and family entertainment, log on to KBC Channel 1. Watch what you want anytime, anywhere. The Amazons.
I can't believe that she's doing this. How could my sister do something like this?
Jealous? Tough luck, because Constanza is now my wife. No.
Now I have my mother. So go away, nanny. Get out of my wedding, my house, my party, and my life. Go on, get out!
You will not get financial support from me. You heard me. You will not get a single cent from me.
You scared Deanna Maria might tell everyone that you were the one that backed...
Serikali ya Rais Uhuru Kenyatta imeweka mikakati kabambe ya kuinua viwango vya tasnia ya michezo nchini Kenya.
My government has and will continue to support you.
Mikakati hii ni pamoja na ujumuishaji wa michezo kwenye mtaala mpya wa elimu ya umilisi KBC.
So if they start introducing that at the lower level, and then this kid grows knowing that he's an athlete, he'll get into very high levels at a very young age.
Kwa uhondo huu,
They put their boots on the ground to defend and protect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Republic of Kenya. After thorough training, another lot of recruits is now ready for that active patriotic duty. Catch KBC Channel 1 for live coverage of Kenya Defence Forces pass-out parade from Moi Barracks, Eldoret.
Good morning once again. If you're tuning in, this is KBC Channel 1. You're watching In the Headlines, where we bring you up to speed with those stories that have been making headlines in the last 24 hours. I'm Regina Manyara. Now, developers in Nairobi Metropolitan Service have been cautioned against putting up structures without requisite approvals. The Nairobi Metropolitan Services says buildings found to have contravened the said guidelines will be demolished at the owner's cost.
The Metropolitan Services is holding a 3-day public engagement meeting on planning compliance and enforcement of buildings and other structures targeting Embakasi, Mukuru and Kasarani. The forum kicked off at Embakasi Central, where members of the public got the opportunity to interact with the NMS officials on compliance before construction.
Kweli kabisa, tunajenga bila hizi barua na tunajenga usiku. We build before they come at 6. We build when they go for lunch, and we also build at night and on Sunday.
Kwa sababu tulifanya makosa kuchenga plani. Kuna uwezekano kwa niaba watu wa Kayole wapatiwe nafasi watafute all those documents needed ili wa process badala ya kuangusa hizo buildings sote itakosta a lot of damage.
Nairobi Metropolitan Services Deputy Director General Kang'ethe Thuku noting that 70% of developers in Eastlands area had not met the various compliance requirements, a situation that has led to lack of assurance on quality of structures.
Umepewa permission ya kujenga an apartment of 6 stories. Wewe unajiambia uongeze some other 3 stories. Na hii ingine ambao umeongeza sitafanya hiyo jengo libomoke.
If you have done something that is not approved by the planning development control, it's supposed to be demolished at your own cost. That's the basic thing. But last time
when something like this happened, the county assembly was lenient enough to enact a law that allowed what we call regularization.
These, the NMS hopes, will be a step towards reducing cases of buildings collapsing leading to loss of life.
To matters business now, the Capital Markets Authority has issued 2 full licenses to coffee marketers. The authority has further extended provisional licenses to 2 other coffee brokers by a further 6 months to allow them to fully comply with the new coffee regulations. The development comes at a time when the CMA is locked in a tussle with the management of the Nairobi Coffee Exchange over the admission of new brokers.
Brokers, Kip Kellyon Brokerage Company and Murang'a County Coffee Dealers have been given full permits to carry out coffee brokerage services at the Nairobi Coffee Exchange. Capital Markets Authority has further extended 2 provisional licenses granted to Mount Elgon Coffee Marketing Agency Limited and United Eastern Kenyan Coffee Marketing Company Limited by 6 months to 30th April 2022 to give them more time to come into full compliance. CMA Chief Executive Wycliffe Shamaya noted the authority is engaging stakeholders in the coffee subsector to ensure that various players in the value chain are brought into full compliance with the Coffee Exchange Regulations 2020. The new coffee regulations was meant to take effect on July 1st, but was postponed to the end of the year to allow more time for preparations. There has, however, been confusion over the implementation of the new laws as the Ministry of Agriculture and CMA battle over who has control of the crop. The new regulations require brokers to send farmers money to direct settlement system, a departure from the current one where the funds are sent to marketers before paying it out to growers. The Capital Markets Coffee Exchange Regulations 2020, which were gazetted in April, gave the authority the mandate to license the coffee exchange and brokers. The authority is mandated to regulate the structured spot commodity markets in Kenya. However, their access to the trading floor remains in limbo due to an ongoing standoff with the Coffee Exchange Management and the Capital Markets Authority over licensing rights.
Has injected 2.2 trillion shillings into the Kenyan economy in the last 5 years. The State Department of Housing says there are 10,000 housing projects undertaking construction that will inject 180,000 units into the market. Housing PS Charles Hinga says the sector is now a major contributor to economic growth.
2020 Economic Report by Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, the housing and construction sector contributed 11.8% to Kenyans' wealth last year from 7% in 2017. As part of the government's effort to woo investors, Hinga revealed that the state has introduced a single-digit fixed long-term mortgage, which will see potential homeowners access financing with less than 10% interest rates.
The history of this country, for the first time now we have got a single-digit fixed long-term mortgage that is become a reality in Kenya. Single-digit meaning is less than 10%. It is fixed, meaning that even if interest rates go up in future, yours will not go up. And it is long-term, meaning that we can allow you to be able to afford based on the size of your pocket.
Housing PS Charles Hinga says the completion of 384 2- and 3-bedroom housing apartments called Unity West, and which sits on 7 acres, has been done using new technology for the longevity of the projects.
We've now broken ground on Unity East project, which is 640 2- and 3-bedroom apartments. Now, the main sort of benefits of this is we have much better control of the quality of the product that we provide.
The property developer has also broken ground for the construction of 642 3-bedroom apartments called Unity East. Tatu City plans to construct more than 30,000 homes at the 5,000-acre project through public-private partnerships. The housing projects offer 2-bedroom apartments starting from as low as 800,000 Kenyan shillings, placing them within reach of middle to low-income earners.
Now, just to, before we get into matters sports, is that the Kenya is banking on the improved indigenous chicken to boost egg and meat production. We were just talking earlier about broiler, as well as which one? Kienyeji and which is another? Can brew. A very lighter note, but when it comes to matters poultry, indeed Kenya is banking on the improved indigenous chicken to boost egg and meat production. Further details are available on our website. We cross over to the sporting arena where the national women's netball team lost their opening match 55-46 to Zimbabwe at the ongoing African Championship in Namibia. Zimbabwe won the first quarter at 13-12 before bagging the second quarter 12-11. Kenya regrouped and won the third quarter 14-11 but lost the fourth quarter 19-8 to hand Zimbabwe the victory. The African Championship doubles up as a Commonwealth Games qualifier. 8 teams are taking part in the championship with 4 tickets up for grabs. Now, there's some results here that we have for you, especially soccer fans there. And this has to do with, matters soccer. So, how did matters Juventus, the Juventus Pablo Dybala is actually at the back page of the Standard this morning. And just to give you a sneak preview over what happened, in the Champions League. Some of the results that are in the matches that took place yesterday. Let me just sample but a few. So Milan drew with Porto 1-1. We have Real Madrid winning against Shakhtar, that is 2-1. Manchester City there 4-1. That is Club Bruges, something like that. Leipzig as well as Paris, they scored on a draw 2-2. Liverpool there 2-0 winning against Atletico. Sporting CP Besiktas, that is 4-0. Dortmund and Ajax, that Dortmund lost to Ajax at 1-3. Well, Sheriff and Inter there 1-3 scoreline, with Inter actually taking the lead there. We'll be keeping tabs on that. My producer, as well as one of our sound guys and directors at the top, wants us to insist on what happened to Arsenal. Well, this morning I choose peace, so we'll keep tabs on the next match date and see what Arsenal has to offer in as far as the EPL is concerned. But now also looking back home, Gor Mahia is set to move 1 point clear at the top after Ulinzi Stars drew. Remember, Gor Mahia lost its glory, so to speak, its position to Tusker, and we are keen on reclaiming our top position there on the Kenyan Premier League. Keep watching KBC Channel 1. Remember that we are your true sports partner. But for now, we take a quick breather. We'll be right back with what has made headlines on the various dailies that we have for you this morning.
So on to the newspapers. Let's just get to let you know what's been on the headlines on our local dailies. Let me start with the Star newspaper here. Iron Lady at the heart of 2022 poll battle. Iron Lady at heart of 2022 poll battle. She is being fronted as Mount Kenya Queenpin and Deputy President. Who are we talking about? That is Honorable Martha Karua. A quiet but strong push is underway to have Martha Karua take over as President Uhuru Kenyatta's successor as the undisputed Mount Kenya Kingpin. The plan would also make Karua, a former Justice Minister, a running mate to one of the top contenders in the 2022 presidential race. You can take a look at that story in details in the Star newspaper. And still on the front page, Africa is the future, invest in it. Uhuru to Scottish businessmen. Africa is the future, invest in it. Uhuru to Scottish businessmen. President Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday held discussions with members of the Scottish Africa Business Association and invited them to enhance investments in Kenya. The president was hosted by the association alongside Diego at the Johnny Walker Princess Street in Edinburgh. The meeting was part of the engagements in Scotland, where he has been attending COP22. Still on the front page, arrested Ugandan hides 3 million shillings heroin in cans of potato crisps. A 27-year-old Ugandan woman suspected of trafficking 3 million shillings worth of heroin in potato crisps cans has been arrested. 30 pellets were recovered on Tuesday night. The cans contained both crisps and pellets photographed by the police. It is said that the woman, identified as Bizu Ruby Halima, was arrested at a hotel in Hamza along Jogoo Road, where she was waiting for her Kenyan contact. Okay. Giving the story there of President Uhuru Kenyatta appealing to the foreign investors to be more keen on investing in Kenya and more specifically in Africa. Again, matters election and voter registration. Reprieve as IEBC extends voter listing. Kenyans who have not yet registered as voters may have until next week on Tuesday to be listed to take part in the August 9th, 2022 general election. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission on Wednesday, that is yesterday, declared that it would continue with the listing until its appeal against the court order requiring it to continue with the registration is heard and determined. Now, the High Court prohibited the polls agency from closing the enhanced voter registration that was scheduled to end on Tuesday, November 2nd. So the chair, Wafula Chebukati, said that they will obey the court order, which was given by Justice Eric Ogola sitting in Eldoret. And finally, auditor exposes CDF wrote in unexplained expenditures, bursaries, sports and tree planting programs used to siphon millions of shillings. Auditor General, that is Nancy Gathongo, has once again lifted the lid of what could be one of the greatest misappropriations of the NG-CDF. In her latest report, bursary funds, constituency-funded sporting activities and tree planting programs emerged as some of the avenues used to siphon millions of cash. In most constituencies, officials were unable to produce documentary evidence to prove the spending that runs into millions of shillings. So, yeah, Kenya is us and it's our business, so to speak. Tree planting. In some states where a tree seedling would go for 5 shillings, perhaps they inflate it maybe up to 50 shillings or even 100 bob. Yeah. So that's it. I don't know. Jen.
Let me let's go over the front page of the Daily Nation before we get to give you more details. Starting with the story here on the top concerning the health sector, with most severely ill COVID-19 patients are unvaccinated. And this is something that has been noted in at least 4 hospitals that they did a spot check with patients that are admitted in the ICU. A third or a quarter, if not all of them that are there, are yet to get the jab. That is something that the ministry has pointed out to be a worrying trend, and have encouraged hospitals to actually keep a record of those that are vaccinated in order to be able to sort of look at the patterns and behavior among the people.
Coming to the main read here, enter politics of Father Christmas. Interesting caption right there. And this is in regards to the pledges that have been made by, aspirants, and especially so the two at the top, that is Deputy President William Ruto and former Premier Raila Odinga, with Ruto's 100 billion kitty for informal businesses and Raila's 144 billion cash transfer standing out among the promises that, Father Christmas, quote unquote, has come with. And here they go on to say that it's all popularism and not genuine solutions for the country's problems, which is now dominating the campaigns, with politicians jostling to get ahead in the elections to succeed President Kenyatta. They are now promising goodies without offering clear policy proposals on how they are going to be implementing long-term sustainable ways of actually these funds that they're looking to give, with both of them having touched on over 100 billion Kenya shillings. We'll be giving you that in a bit. Then here there's a piece concerning fertility and the high cost that deny very many Kenyans parenthood, looking at fertility treatments that are offered here in the country and the high costs that come with that. And finally, there's a story here concerning one gentleman who a high court has actually overruled a ruling that was made by a court back in 1997 that he is not the son of a late multi-billion estate owner tycoon that passed on in 1996, and for 24 years now he has been living off the inheritance that he got, multi-million shilling estate, among many other sources. So this particular court has found that he is not the biological son of the late tycoon. Who is he? More details in a bit. Regina.
From page of the Standard, just to give you a sneak peek before we get to the details, political fishers of men. Yeah. Remember that nursery school rhyme? It seems that this particular scribe who wrote that header attended Sunday school. We'll be giving you details in not too long. Fishers of men, indeed.
Machozi ni ya kipenzi chako Lea. Kwaje mpaka huyu wakili akakuwa na makaratasi nyumbani kwake? Si nadhani shemeji yangu ndo afawe na hii karatasi nyumbani kwake.
Kwa nini mimi? Maya, leo utaniambia utoka wapi ama pia utanificha?
Sikiliza wewe. Kama huwezi niongelesha mimi kwa heshima, tafadhali usiniongeleshe.
Pigwa mimi. Umeshindwa baba. She is too much for you. Do you have any idea what we could do with that much wealth? You can make any note that you want. The brown one is my favorite.
I have lost a grand total of 28,000 for one land, and I'll be very happy if I can get it by next week.
Next week? How about later today? Next week is a long time from now. We might just get another excuse. Today, Para.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
We take it on at the right time.
Honorable Musalia Mudavadi.
The Honorable Mutahi Kagwe.
Chief Justice Martha Karambuko.
This is KBC, is the voice of Kenya.
Asking the right questions.
I don't know how it made you feel as speaker who is presiding over a house where members can be compromised with 10,000 shillings.
We keep our guests comfortable. A mission to ensure our audience gets a complete story.
For a few hours or so, I thought this is it. My end has come.
If really we want an end of this pandemic, we must fight.
Our goal, to tell it as it is for the benefit of our viewer.
And I'm sure we will have good discussions.
All right.
That will make probably your viewers understand KDF better.
With 21 radio outlets.
During a live interview on KBC TV, Chief of Defense Forces General Robert Kibosha.
Jaji mkuu kwa mara ya kwanza katika mahojiano yake ya kipekee na runinga ya KBC Channel 1.
And 2 TV stations covering over 90% of the entire country. The message always gets home. KBC, the home of on-air TV interviews.
Indeed. Before we took a short break, just saying that, people who attended Sunday school seem to have been working for this particular paper in this morning. Why? This is the header we have on the Standard this morning. Political fishers of men. Being Entertainment Thursday, I want to try and, go back in time and find out if I still remember this particular Sunday school rhyme. I will make you fishers of men, fishers of men, fishers of men. I will make you fishers of men if you follow me. Kiswahili version tunaachia Victor. Let's start off.
Tuimbie kama SDA.
Nitawafanya wavuvi wa watu. Victor, where are you? Nitawafanya wavuvi wa watu, wavuvi wa watu. Where is Victor SDA? We can't hear your voice.
Nitawafanya wavuvi wa watu ukinifuata.
Good.
And at that point, each and every child look at Mesimama, and then you have got your teacher there. And then, well, Victor, wait, hapana, move this side. You're being arranged in line, and then I will make you fishers of men, fishers of men, fishers. And then you will hear kengele inalia huko, cling, cling, cling. Time your class emissions, now everybody going to the main church.
Hey, Vic has gone the whole 9 yards.
Man.
Indeed.
We had one guy called Victor Koundo. He's a pathfinder until to date.
Good. Awesome. It's good to go way back.
It's a TBT. It's a
relive
TBT.
those memories. It's a TBT and it's Entertainment Thursday. And the scribe this morning in this particular paper decided to take us way back with that particular header. Political fishers of men. Who are they? Who are they? Now listed on the front page of the Standard is none other than Susan Keheka, Nakuru Senator, Mutula Kilonzo Jr., Makueni Senator. We have Asha Jumbo Malindi MP, Cleophas Malala Kakamega Senator, Aiden Duale Garissa Town MP, Nick Salat Kanu Party Secretary General Ali Hassan Joho, Mombasa Governor, Wycliffe Oparanya Kakamega Governor, Junaid Mohammed Suna East MP, as well as William Kamket. Succession politics of 2022. Are they doing their leaders' bidding, so to speak? So they're fiercely loyal. At one time, they're carriers of hard-hitting messages, and their party leaders cannot bring themselves to speak. And at other times, they serve as emissaries, testing waters and wing defectors to their camps. For them, the mantra is gather all, scatter none. Political fishers of men. Scatter none. Paragasha. I like this. Of all the headers and kickers that we've had, at least this week, I can attest to this is catchy and timely. TBT, taking us back, also taking us back to the, Bible, if you're the good book and such. So, well, I like that particular header. And that is what is happening when it comes to, succession politics. We're seeing, politicians coming out and going to their strongholds and trying to woo you and I as the electorate, why, the leaders and the parties that they are, representing are the best options ahead of the general election. But the question is, as the electorate, as one Jiko, has your leader delivered on the promises they made during the last electioneering period? If they haven't, are you keen on replacing them? If they have, give them another time. So we need to apply critical thinking as well as looking at what was said and what was done, in as much as they are gathering men and women and scattering none. Front page of the Standard this morning. Now, according to Gideon Moi, that is Gideon Moi saying that Uhuru and Raila are part of OCA. That has been captured on page 8. Then talking about regional matters, it is that Ethiopia PM is talking tough. Remember, the Ethiopian government already declared a state of emergency there, with the rebels, Tigray rebels, closing in on various cities that had been held by, government security personnel. Talking about matters business, there's been a lot of talk, especially from the telecommunication industry, with some firms calling for the split of, Safaricom, separating its telco from its mobile money lending service, saying that it's a telco giant, it's a dominant partner or player in the telecommunications industry, and to make the market, to level the playing field in the market, well, that government needs to institute its split. Money is on one side, mobile money transfer on one side, vis-a-vis offering services. Now, according to ICT Cabinet Secretary Joe Mucheru, there is that Safaricom will not be punished for being successful. That's just a sneak peek of what we have on the front page of the Standard this morning. Victor.
All right. Again, there's a story here. Ford Kenya in turmoil as rivals hold parallel meetings today. However, late last evening, there were indications that they had been stopped by the political parties tribunal. Ford Kenya is in turmoil as bitter feuds rage with two rival factions convening parallel national delegates conference in Nairobi today. However, as at late last evening, there were indications that the two meetings had been stopped by the political parties dispute tribunal. The fate of the two meetings, however, remains unknown, as some officials said that they had not been served. The squabbling could make or break for party leader Moses Wetangula, who could potentially be toppled from the helm of the Lion Party. The Wetangula team will hold its NDC at the Bomas of Kenya, while the team allied to Tongaren MP Esili Simiyu will convene at Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani. So that is in the political arena. IPOA wants 6 cops charged with beating suspects to death. 6 police officers face charges for killing a suspect alleged to have resisted arrest for growing bang. Police constables Bernard Maritim, Michael Ochango, Edwin Maenga, Silas Anyira, Stephen Owiro and Wycliffe Chepto suspected that Sylvanus Ore Owinji was dealing in the banned drug and stormed his house in Kochia, Homa Bay County. To arrest him. This was on September 17th, 2017. But the man resisted arrest, and the officers allegedly descended on him with beatings that led to his death. Okay. Matters police. Millionaire cop on 38,000 shillings pay hands over bribes. Now listen to this. A traffic police officer on a 38,000 shillings monthly gross pay has surrendered 26 million shillings bribe cash he collected from motorists. Jamal Bare Mohammed was employed on August 31st, 1996. He was stationed at Thika Patrol Base as a rider, earning a gross salary of 35,750 per month. At the time of the case was being investigated, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission was able to establish that between July 1st, 2010 and September 30th, 2016, Jamal made cash at Mkesho deposit of 43.4 million shillings in his various bank accounts. EACC subsequently obtained preservations orders to freeze 26,193,000 and some cents hapo juu at the bank in October 2016.
Hiyo ndio sorcery sasa. Hiyo ndio sorcery.
Sasa you do witchcraft.
For me, I think there is more than meets the eye in this story.
You have a gross of course, there's definitely so much more than meets the eye.
Wacha tuseme ukweli. There are people called foot soldiers. There are people who are called foot soldiers.
Yeah.
They do their master's bidding. Unfortunately, when
also become
shit hits the roof or the fan, be as it may, they end up carrying the burden.
Scapegoats.
Yeah.
But
I think this is a typical case of such. Yes.
But you see, I know some of the police officers who are doing good business, legit.
True.
Their side hustles, they let's just give it to some of the police officers who are doing, actually they're legit and they're just quite open and frank with their job. Some of them are doing their side hustle businesses. You find that he's a police officer, but the wife or the brother and the family are running different, chain of businesses to sustain them, because, it's common sense that, people, you can have your side hustle somewhere there and what have you, but being a police officer, at least some questions, but anyway. So that's just a case. Yeah. That's just a case.
Give me million 40.
I want to go back to a certain book I read some years back. This is a Jeffrey Archer book.
Yeah.
The title is The 11th Commandment.
Deny.
And the 11th commandment is, thou shalt never get caught. If caught, deny. I'm just saying the book I read.
And deny some more.
So however you take that information, I just think it's a good book to read.
Okay. Still on money matters, pending bills likely to disrupt smooth handovers. That is according to CRA. Revenue Commission wants counties to settle unpaid dues to avoid transition hitches. This has been something that has been affecting, most of the counties and the national government because of the transition that is pending in 2022. It said that some of the governors, actually 50% of the governors, are serving their second term, and chances are they are going to leave their respective counties with pending bills. So it's going to spill over to the next regime. That is going to affect the running of such counties. And the commission cited Nairobi, Nakuru, West Pokot, Laikipia, Vihiga, Kitui, Nyandarua, Tana River, Kirinyaga, and Kisumu counties, among others, as the counties affected. And so the CRA boss is actually pleading with the said counties to make sure that they clear all the pending bills amounting to 11.4 billion shillings at the end of June. So that is that. So, and finally, Jack and Jill Honor withdraws case against DPP. Who knows Jack and Jill? Where it is?
Iko hapa Tau.
Where? Exactly.
On your way.
Tomboya.
Good Lord.
Tomboya.
Jack and Jill? Aya. Regina iko wapi?
This is Moi Avenue and then Tomboya.
We can't see where.
No. Niko kwa ground.
Okay, you're trying to visualize.
Yes.
Your hair Tomboya, this is Tomboya.
Ile junction ya... No, ama hii ni Red Robin. Hii ni Red Robin.
That is...
Hii ni Red Robin. Yuko kwa ile roundabout, not roundabout actually, the cross, you see T Junction, crossroads, crossroads. But then nimenyamaza sasa.
Regina, do you know where Jack and Jill is? We all know, ukikuja, fika mpaka pale chini Jack and Jill.
Jack and Jill. I know where it is, but I just don't know where it is right now.
Ama hata ukienda Gikomba.
Ujui,
kule chini,
You see, I was hurting on her behalf.
Yeah.
So I just needed to just say it, like.
I have not remembered. Uko chini.
Oh, yes.
It's close to where the matatus that go to Githunguri are.
Good. Yes. So the owner has withdrawn a case against DPP, and Jack and Jill supermarket proprietor has formally withdrawn. It was one of the biggest supermarkets actually way back then. J&J.
In Nairobi, my friend. So now this fully answers the question we started off. Kienyeji, broiler, broiler.
So who is she now?
Tunaona sasa yeye ana move kutoka kwa kienyeji akapo kwa broiler.
Hakuna moja alisema inaitwa
Ken Brew. I withdrew and apologized. Nilikuwa naongelea Red Robin. Mimi sijui imeingilia wapi, by the way.
If you do not know where Jack and Jill is, you're still new in this Nairobi.
I do.
You are very, very green in this Nairobi. But anyway, it's not a surprise. There are people who still don't know where it's called TSC.
OTC.
Sorry, OTC.
Broiler.
Broiler. What do you mean? Who are you calling a broiler? Go away. You didn't know even where Jack and Jill is, man.
TSC. Teacher Service Commission.
Tea room.
Tea room.
Kuna street
my
moja.
My friend, tea room. Mra iko karibu kuingia hii masaa.
Kuna street moja. Everybody anajua Nairobi. Is it Dubois?
Dubois,
aka Dubois.
Ish.
The bougie ones. Unasema Dubois. Kienyeji. Dubois.
In Dubois Road. But in essence it's Dubois.
Dubois
Road huko chini.
Dubois.
When you walk down that street, and you get to Initangwa River Road. Unasikianga, madam, mafuta ya uso.
Mafuta ya ngozi.
Madam,
mafuta ya hairline. Kuna mafuta ya kila kitu.
There's oil for everything. Oil is available for everything. Anything you can have.
Kila kitu.
Iko. My friend, then after, unfortunately, you buy that particular ointment, all of a sudden your face is lighter than the rest, but your knuckles still remain dark.
Yes, and
they
your
actually
elbow.
darken.
You end up looking weird. Anyway, this is Nairobi. Well,
and your elbow surrenders. I will not turn black anything. Your
Aluta.
Nairobi ni hard.
Man, pia ngozi inakugeuka.
Nairobi ni ngumu. Maisha ni ngumu. Talking about Nairobi ni ngumu, we know the president is in Scotland with the other world leaders, and conversation is about climate change, COP26, so to speak. Now, researchers are saying that to curb climate change, eat less milk, drink less milk.
Ati?
Nilikuwa najua hapo italeta kizungumkuti, so to speak. So researchers,
drink what?
They're saying for us to curb climate change, one of the intervention measures that the world and its populace needs to take into account is to eat less milk. To eat less meat and drink less milk.
What kind of meat?
Sasa, researchers profiled 171 crops and 16 animal products. Now data is drawn from more than 200 countries. So meat and dairy products are responsible for increased greenhouse gases, and environmentalists are advising a switch to plant-based diet to help fight climate change. Habari ndio hiyo. 14% is the rate of all emissions from meat and dairy production, according to the Food and Agricultural Organization. 99.48% is the contribution of beef to greenhouse gas emissions per kilogram, followed by dark chocolate at 46.6%, lamb at 39.7%, and food with the lowest impact on the environment were cassava at 1.3% per kilogram, barley at 1.1 per kilogram, and peas at 0.89% per kilograms. It's the high time we focused on plant-based diet. But kweli, given our situation here in Kenya, let's not talk about Africa, because we know Africa is our business. Let's get down to the thick of things. Nyama.
I think Kenya is the biggest contributor of
Kama ni kukula nyama.
And did you call it global warming or what?
Actually, gas emissions are called greenhouse gases.
I think Kenya we are leading, because ile nyama choma inachomwa Nairobi na Kenya hii.
Kiamaiko. Kikopei.
Yes. There is that place along huko Ruiru, inaitwaje?
Tujui Ruiru.
Okay.
Enlighten us.
Folk Center.
No.
Sisi tuongee mambo ya Kajiado, those sides.
But generally ile nyama inachomwa. In fact, even people who live wa Kenya living abroad, ukiuliza what are you missing?
Nyama choma.
Nyama choma.
Na sausage za Kenya.
Na kachumbari. Exactly, that's what they say. You know?
So now if we are to go, to save our planet, because we are choking literally our planet.
So it's in the process of preparation that is the problem.
Yeah, actually there's a whole study. This is based on a report published in Nature Food that says that the study indicated that the use of animals for meat caused twice the pollution of producing plant-based foods, and the entire system of food production, including use of farming machinery, spraying of fertilizer, transportation products, and causes 17.3 billion tons of greenhouse gases a year. Whoa.
So tuache kukula na sasa si tusipokula kutakuwa na an imbalance.
Sidhani I can live without meat. Tuseme tu kweli.
Prey exists because there's a predator.
Yeah.
When there's a drop in prey, predator suffers.
It's called the food chain.
And the other way around.
Yeah.
When there's a drop in predator, prey wanna increase, wanna suffer due to lack of enough feed to sustain the numbers.
But with medicine and science, mankind is an apex predator, so to speak.
Na Mungu alijua akituambia nimewapea wanyama hapo mnaweza kula hii msikule hii, lakini kuna watu bado wanakula nyeta, waliambiwa wasikule.
Tuliambiwa tukule everything but from the fruit of the tree. Enye walionyeshwa. So nyama iko tu sawa. Can you imagine like your whole life? Okay, well, we know that people who are vegetarians and such, I don't know how they do that. Those people, vegetarians deserve a special place in heaven. So I'm never going to promise that I'm going to be a vegetarian. Kwanza ile nyama imeiva vizuri, haijakauka, it's still moist with a little bit of oil hapo. But na kaugali na kachumbari.
Well done meat. Mimi wenye wanakulanga medium rare.
It's even before 9 a.m. I'm already thinking about
kanyama. Kwanza kambuzi. Kale kameshomwa ya Narok. Mbuzi imechomwa na Wamasai.
Na kahoho kumepita hapo kando yake.
Are we all hungry or what this morning?
Na kasube.
Na kachumbari kamekatwa. Sorry. Na ugali moto.
Before we get to a time where that is the reality. Soda hapo sasa. Hapo mimi nitawaangalia tu.
Na maji room temperature.
Bas.
I'm suddenly very hungry, but
as I sip my coffee, it has milk.
Hakuna kiendas.
Hakuna kiendas leo. Hakuna kiendas. But the thoughts about nyama choma and such, trust me, has just set my weekend. I'm already thinking about it.
And even you saw just the other day when they were cutting down the mogumo tree, what was offered as burnt sacrifice?
Choma.
Straight from the Bible, what was being offered as burnt sacrifice? So, I'm not saying anything beyond that.
Ladies, talk of irony tukimalizia. Now state has rescued, quote unquote, poor City Hall from blackout over 1.5 billion shillings debt.
Billion?
Yes, the case has been going on with Kenya Power since 2014. we take a break before we give in a blackout on air.
They put their boots on the ground to defend and protect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Republic of Kenya. After thorough training, another lot of recruits is now ready for that active patriotic duty. Catch KBC Channel 1 for live coverage of Kenya Defence Forces pass-out parade from Moi Barracks, Eldoret.
I love sciences, but I'm so into music.
Kwanza utakuwa daktari, alafu utaimba. Talent yako iwezi potea. Itakuwa mbaya.
Baba Joyce, do you trust me?
Trust ni jina lenye uzito sana.
Let me take my leave.
What's up with Mama Felix?
Someone must really have annoyed her.
Back door. Look amazing.
That was weird.
Do you think they're stalking us?
Well, I hope not.
Wiki hii kwenye mkulima tutaoka mkate kisha tuteremshe na yogurt.
Hii mkate yetu ni tofauti. Unajua ni sisi tunafunza. Kwa hivyo yetu sana sana si ya biashara. Hatuweki preservative.
Huwezi tengeneza kama hujaipasteurize. Ya lazima uchemshe hiyo maziwa. Na pia juu mwishowe ni kukunywa tutakunywa. Kawaida hatukunywangi maziwa raw, tunataka maziwa yenye imechemshwa.
Basi ungana nasi Jumapili saa 9:30 hapa KBC Channel 1 kwa mseto kamili wa kilimo.
Welcome back. We are glad you are still keeping us company here on Good Morning Kenya. In case you're just joining us, karibu tena sana. This is Entertainment Thursday happening right here on Good Morning Kenya on KBC Channel 1. The hashtag is Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. Official station handle is at KBC Channel 1. Our individual handles are at Ray Manyara, at Victor Olo, at Doreen Arange, and at Jane Wambui. And speaking of Doreen Arange, remember I had mentioned earlier that we have so much lined up for you when it comes to the entertainment bits that we have, planned for you today, and we want to now cross over to one of the locations here in the city. We get to interact with Doreen and get to see what is going on her end. So Doreen, there we go. How you doing? How you doing, Mom?
On my end of things, but nonetheless, huku kuna baridi
But we are here to keep our viewers continued glued to our screens up until 10 a.m. It is Thursday, so it's definitely time to take it easy, light. It is Entertainment Thursday, and we are at the Kenya National Theatre, or if you may, the Kenya Cultural Center. We have a lot in store for you this morning. We just want to talk more about theatre arts, and specifically here in the country. On this set, I'm joined by three amazing guests. To my immediate, not actually to my farthest right, that is Michael Pundo. He is the CEO, Kenya Cultural Center. He'll also be talking to us about matters arts and specifically theatre arts. Next to him is Fed Oyagi, the festival director. We still have that ongoing Kenya International Theatre Festival, which began on 2nd of this month up until 14th. So we'll be getting to make us understand more about this particular festival, what is in it. And to my immediate, that is left, this is Brooks Berengere, director Brr Production from Senegal. Remember that this kind of festival brings together all people from everywhere across the continent and even beyond. So this is why we also have her on set to talk to us a bit more about that. But we start with the Mr. CEO himself, and perhaps you can begin from the basics. Arts, and specifically theatre arts. We talk about it not being an appreciated craft, most especially in Kenya, and we were just having this conversation earlier on with Fed, and we were saying when you look at the different other forms of arts, perhaps even music, film, we have likes of Kalasha, we used to have the Groove Awards, so we used to have quite a lot of award systems. But when it comes to theatre arts, we just know of Sanaa. Like, there's barely any form of too much appreciation when it comes to arts. Why is that?
Thank you so much. I would say theatre arts is alive, very alive, but not as alive as other forms of art, especially music, because of the nature of the art. Theatre is confined because we have to get a theatre space, or if it is a makeshift, then there has to be a formal theatre space, as opposed to music that is on the move. You can perform music anywhere and anyhow, anyway. The preparation, the performance of theatre is a bit more involving, and so there is a bit more time involved in preparation of a theatre production than in production of a music production, and so the fact that the theatre production is more involving makes it not as easygoing as any other forms of art. But nevertheless, I think theatre is moving. It is alive. It is only also that we can't have snippets of theatre productions. We must have a story, and so. For a theatre production to be meaningful, it must be between 20 minutes to 30 to 40 and 1 hour to 2 hours. And so you have to make time to watch a theatre production, as opposed to music, which you can have 5 minutes and you've had enough of music. So yes. So the nature of the genre and the amount of time and resources involved in the production makes it a bit slow in terms of movement and reception from the would-be theatre lovers. Again, music is everywhere. You will get it in the bar, you will get it in the bars, you will get it anywhere. But theatre is location specific. You can't get it anywhere else. Yes.
So going by all that you've mentioned, clearly there's so many factors surrounding why perhaps it's not where it needs to be when it comes to appreciation and even the awareness itself. So what do you feel needs to be done? Because some would even talk about perhaps policies or structures that need to be put in place. What is your thinking?
There are enough policies, I would say, to deal with this. One is funding. Because then we have to make people aware of the genre, of the art. We have to take the art to the people. and taking a theatre performance to the people needs a bit more of funding, because then we'll be relocating a professional stage to where there is no professional stage, and for people then to like this, then they have to get to interact with better performances. Secondly, our thespians, our theatre artists need also to be more creative, not to confine themselves to the traditional way of doing it. We need to be more innovative, and I think the pandemic has taught us so. Now we are getting more creative and taking theatre out, even in using media that was not traditionally theatre inclined. You will now get smaller recordings of a theatre production which can be watched in 10-20 minutes on your phone. Now there are mobile applications designed for theatre productions, and so if we can have the audiences interact more with the genre, then I think people will gain a liking. But again, there should just be enough marketing also, so that we make noise about our act, so that people get to know that this is what we do, this is how we do it, and this is how we can do it differently from how we used to do it. Yes, so there's more we need to do.
You've said something very important, and I'll come back to you just perhaps to expound more on that, and that is to be creative enough. But let's come to the marketing bit, Fred, and I think you're the best person to talk about that because of also what is currently happening. That is the Kit Fest 2021, began on 2nd, supposed to end on 14th. Tell us more about this kind of event and festival.
All right, this is the Kenya International Theatre Festival, abbreviated as Kit Fest. So we are having our 6th edition this year, that's Kit Fest 2021. And basically what we're trying to achieve with Kit Fest is what the director of the Kenya Cultural Center has mentioned. We're trying to take theatre to the people. So for us, we're just starting from building capacities of the thespians themselves, and then just creating that platform and just creating opportunities for them to be able to showcase their crafts and do it professionally, and maybe even earn a living from it. Yes.
All right. So this is the 6th year so far. How can you track the progress? Because you're just saying this is what also the CEO is trying to allude to, create more awareness, popularize the craft. Yes. How has it been so far in terms of the progress of even that awareness, and how it has been since 2016 when it began?
In 2016, we began with a 2-day festival. Up until now, we can just say cumulatively we are doing up until 3 months of a festival. So we had a 2-day festival in 2016. It was still new. It was strange to most people. And then we kept adding on more days. And then it was 1 week. And then it was 2 weeks. I think in the terms of popularity and marketing and trying to push the festival and the theatre space and culture out there, we've made a lot of progress. We've penetrated into the counties. So far, we've reached 5 counties. That's Mombasa, Nakuru, Meru, Kisumu, and then Nairobi, of course. And we're looking at even going into all the counties in the country. So, like he said, just trying to make sure that this theatre message goes to as many people as possible. We create the artists, we just make them professional, so that when we call upon people to come and watch these performances, then they can come and appreciate professional performances created for them.
Wow, clearly that's good progress made. At least you've reached different parts of the country except just Nairobi. When you talk about it's been a 3 months affair, I mean, we just mentioned it's from 2nd November to 14th. So how does this 3 months look like?
All right, this year has been a bit different, but what we've done, like in the previous years, we start with the counties. So we go and do we call it the county training and workshops, where we take, qualified professionals like Brooks. She's going to hear from her, both locally and the ones we coming in as international guests. And then they're able to work with the groups in these counties. So they're training them, they're just building the capacities, enhancing their skills, showing them how theatre should be done and whatnot. And that's how we build the capacities. Yeah.
Really. Yeah. You just mentioned Brooks, and now let's get to Brooks, who is a director at Brr Production. I did pronounce it correctly, I hope.
Yeah, Brr Production, very good.
Okay. So tell us a bit about that name, quite peculiar.
Okay. It's actually very easy. It's Brr
Like it's one of the warm up we do as actor for to warm up your tongue and your lips before going on stage. So that's all it is.
That's all that there is to the name. There's always something about name and art.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
All right. So coming to Kenya to be in this kind of festival, this kind of event, trying to popularize and create more awareness on art. Just as we were speaking with the CEO as well as the director of KidFest, clearly there's little awareness and perhaps little appreciation when it comes to art in terms of theater compared to other forms of art. What is the experience from your country?
It's a bit the same, I would say. It's also a struggle in Senegal to make theater, but theater is important. I think it's a live art. If you talk to actors that actually work both in cinema and theater, lots of them would say actually they prefer to do theater because of that relationship you have live with the audience. So theater is the base. It's really the base for an actor or even a director. So I think it's really important to keep on doing theater and to train people and to funding is another issue, as we just heard, and it's the same problem as in Senegal. It's hard to find money for theater, but we have to be clever, creative, but also clever in a way to find money. Maybe now we have to go and see private sector if they can help us, or go on to social media. Like now we do have a YouTube channel, which for me was like something very strange at first, but we did this web series, which is actually a small theater piece filmed on stage, but that we put on YouTube, and it's working. So yeah, being creative and clever to adapt.
So for you, would you say that creativity and perhaps being smart enough and clever enough and adapting is what has been helping you, and even with your production company in your country?
Yeah, definitely. And because of COVID as well, like everybody else, we had to find other ways to keep on working. So yeah, definitely.
Okay, let me pick your mind on this, because I really had a lot of conversations with a good number of actors, and a good number of them would tell you about policies, but the CEO tries to shy that away, trying to say that yes, in Kenya specifically, we have policies enough and good policies. Let me pick your mind on policies and perhaps the place of government into making theater arts, just specifically theater arts, a success.
So in Senegal, we don't have any help from governments. Okay. Yeah. So it used to be, Senegal used to be a country where the government would fund theater and take the national company abroad and promote Senegalese culture that way. But that hasn't been the case for the last 20 years.
Oh.
So it's theater
That's for the last 2 decades.
Yeah. So it's quite difficult right now in Senegal for theater. But maybe, I mean, if we have enough companies showing that we can make money, I think, with art, with theater, that we go abroad, so we promote Senegalese culture, I think that would, give a good sign for the government to help us as well.
So basically what you're saying is that it needs to start with you and I, or with the actors themselves, before we can even move to say we need government to do this.
I think so. I don't see the point of waiting for government to to act if they don't have the will. They just look busy with other stuff. But let's show that art is important, and then maybe they come to us.
All right, that makes a lot of sense. Now you see, when they say you think your problem is bad or worse, not quite that bad or worse. CEO, unasema we have at least good policies. I mean, so different from the experience with Senegal. For the last 2 decades, they feel like they haven't really been getting help. But for us, you're saying we always think that we even have a bigger problem, but it looks like it's not that bad.
I would say until you go to the hospital is when you'll know you are actually not sick. But from a government point of view, I said we have enough policies. And you see, one major role of government is to provide an enabling environment for anything else to thrive and prosper. And so the government has provided an enabling environment for art to prosper. Okay, funding is lacking, I would say, and the sector is least funded that is true, and that then makes implementation of various policy become difficult. But this is now where partnerships come in. And one thing we need to agree on is theatre is a tool for social change. Theatre speaks to our well-being. Theatre speaks to us. It is our mirror. So it provides solutions to problems that bedevil us in a creative way. It points to us our ills, but in a way we can laugh about them. But we have seen that is what we do wrong. And so private sector would come in to push the agenda, to help in issues of social change, to help in issues of development, and push these messages through art so that they complement what the government does. And with this, I think the sector will really go far. So yes, funding is a problem, but there is an enabling environment, and that the government has started by giving an enabling environment, and there are policies. So now it is creating synergies, partnerships to implement and help the sector grow.
At least we have something good. We have that enabling environment. I mean, some places you can't even be going about speaking about some of these social ills that art and theatre is supposed to bring out because of some restrictions. At least we have that chance and a system and an environment to showcase that. But let me pick what Brooks had mentioned there in terms of creativity, and this is based on the actors, because it's just that normal, even just life thinking, that for me to help you also I need to see what you can do. Do you feel from your perspective that there's also something more that perhaps our actors and actresses need to do to even push the government even more to make the environment even more and more conducive, and even provide this funding that we keep talking about, because resources and funding is always an issue everywhere perhaps?
Yes, actually there is more that our artists need to do, and in my conversation with several artists, I always challenge them. I ask them where their creativity went to, but it's understandable because the artist, the present artist, is also bedeviled with so many social issues. He needs to think about food, he needs to think about where he will sleep, as in where his rent. So this affects creativity somehow. But you see, the society, once you have pronounced yourself to be an artist, the society expects your creativity to be above normal.
Nonetheless.
Anyway, so we still need to find solutions within our problems to creatively address those problems. And so artists need to up their game. We have a bit relaxed or gone down a bit, because now we don't see as creative productions as they used to be in the past. But that is understandable. So we only need to encourage the artists to be more creative and find these creative solutions to the problems we have currently. But that there are so many funding opportunities. I know the funding opportunities in culture, which are able to aid in the productions. But I think most artists don't get this funding because they do the same thing the same way, yesterday, today, and will do it tomorrow. So you find, for example, we have an IFCD fund, and you'll see, even though this funding is available, no artist receives it in the country. Not that the criteria has been tightened, they're the same criteria, but artists are I would say are not creative enough to meet that criteria. So yes, we want to encourage our artists. We have provided this space, by the way, so that artists can enjoy the space, develop their creativity. From the development of their creativity, they can improve their earnings, and when an artist improves his earning, then the GDP improves. And so artists should come together, create networks to to help one another. With Senegal, how is it there? What are the funding opportunities? How do we get those fundings? What are the requirements to get the fundings? And are we able to sit down? Now, that's the problem again. Artists don't want to sit down and work on a funding proposal.
Okay.
They want to work on the move, and as long as they beat the deadline, and they don't get the funding. So I think we need to put more effort in looking for those opportunities which will aid our productions.
You really talked so much about that creativity, and I'm so sure an artist who's watching is trying to wonder, do you know what I put into that shoe? Do you know the kind of rehearsals I've done? Do you know what I had to go get just to make this show a success? So you talk about this creativity. I mean, just let's be more practical about it. Basically, what exactly are you talking about?
Creativity is very broad, I would say. It has no specific pointer or specific single definition you'd put to it, but doing something differently. If you want to perform a piece, say that has been performed by another artist, what is it that you as the artist you are injecting into that already performed piece that belongs to you, so that the initial creator of this piece would look at your piece, no, his piece performed by you, and feel, okay, yeah, that is something I ought to have thought of. Now that is creativity. Yeah. Taking something ordinary and doing it extraordinarily.
Fred, I'm coming to you in a bit, but let me just go to Brooks, because I heard you chuckle a bit when the CEO talked about that creativity in the aspect of taking that thing that is already done perhaps and do it differently, which is also what you mentioned when you talked about the creativity bit. And at least, you know, even when the pandemic came, it showed you that you could do something differently. Let me pick your mind on that. What does creativity look like for you?
But I think it's a good definition what you've just said, because all you said is to take something ordinary and making extraordinary. But I would say maybe it's as simple as also just looking things from a different angles. That's also already creative. You just move the focus, or you magnify it, you make it bigger or smaller, or you change perspective. All of that is part of creativity, and I think creative people, that's what they do. Yeah.
And now I'm feeling why it's so important to have this conversation, because you're getting two sides of the story. So if you're an artist and you're watching, then this is what creativity looks like for you, just trying to get a point here and there. Now, Brooks, even as talk about that creativity bit, what are you doing in your capacity, even as a director? Are you training? Do you have workshops that perhaps could make actors and actresses become more creative? Because much as you can talk about issues of funding, which may be not within our control, what is within our control is to be more creative enough as artists or as an actor, as an actress. What are you doing in your capacity?
Yeah, we do training. Training is important, because when you're an actor, you need to know the basic of theater, the basis and creativity. Maybe people are creative, but it's not enough. You also need to know how to make theater, how to be on stage, all the techniques. So you can't just be creative. That's not enough, actually, to be a good artist. You also need, more than that, definitely.
Okay. All right, Fed, as we talk about this Kit Fest, clearly the issue of creativity is just coming in somehow here and there. And also I believe this is perhaps also what you get to do in the different workshops, even in the counters.
Yeah.
Is it?
It is, and like Brooks is saying, creativity in itself is not enough. Because when you meet these artists, you find that they are super talented. But you know, then you realize they need to know something else extra. They need to, like the director said, they need to know how to write proposals. They need to know how to market their shows and earn some money. So what we do is that we're just looking at a 360 development of an artist. So you're looking at their talent, you're looking at creativity, and how they're also able to manifest that so that it works in their favor and they earn something from it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now, even as we talk about the festival, it's still an ongoing festival. As we mentioned, it's going to be taking place up until 14th November. And I'm so sure some viewers might be wondering, so how do people get to even be part of this festival? I mean, it's already happening, but you have another another one coming next year. So how does that process look like, even for theatre companies or theatre productions that maybe want to be part of it during the different ones that may be coming?
All right, for the artists, we normally put out a call for participation at the beginning of the year. So we have many artists, apply to participate. That's both locally and internationally. And then we have a criteria of just selecting the items that are eligible to come and perform at Kitfest. And to the audiences, we just encourage them to come and support the artists, especially the local ones, because that's also how they get to progress in life here. So like you said, we are still here up until the 14th. We have a lot of shows lined up, and we want to call everyone to come and support these artists. Yes.
And the shows are not just from Kenyan powerhouses?
No, they're not from Kenya. This year we have representation from 12 countries. There's Senegal, there's the USA, there's Cameroon, there's Uganda, there's Tanzania, there's South Africa. We actually have 2 production houses coming from South Africa, and I don't know, maybe I've forgotten a few, but yeah, so it's an international festival, so we have people coming from all over the world.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was just in the CEO refusing that it's not only Kenya, it's even beyond.
Yes, we have even Egypt, we have India. So it is 12 countries internationally, and it's a big festival. And so we want to invite corporates actually to this festival because we need support. These artists need to earn from their act. So we really need people to come on board, support us. We are still running short of funds, but if we have partners coming on to help us, we will really make theatre be where it's supposed to be.
Make theatre where it needs to be. Let me just finalize with you, Brooks. The festival is still ongoing. As the CEO has put it, it's 12 countries. Senegal is also represented. Very briefly, what do you hope to achieve from this festival?
For us, it's great to come here because, we meet other artists, we see other shows, we interact with actors through workshops, so we learn a lot. We show our work, so that's also important, I think, as an artist, to be able to show your work outside of your comfort zone, outside of your country, but also to see other people, the way they work, what they do. So it's very rich for us to come all the way.
Okay, thank you so much. And that has been our conversation this morning, just to try and understand about theatre, and specifically theatre arts, not just in Kenya, but even beyond our borders. My guests have been Michael Pundo, CEO, Kenya Cultural Center. We've also had Fred Oyagi, the festival director, that is for the Kenya International Theatre Festival, or if you may, the KitFest 2021, and also Brooks Berengere, director Productions, who've been joining us this morning just to give us a bit of an understanding about arts as a whole, and specifically theatre arts. Plenty more after this break.
Jealous? Tough luck, because Constanza is now my wife. Okay, no.
Now I have my mother. So go away, nanny. Get out of my wedding, my house, my party, and my life. Go on, get out!
You will not get financial support from me. You heard me.
You will not get a single cent from me.
You scared, Deanna Maria might tell everyone that you were the one that bankrupted.
Serikali ya Rais Uhuru Kenyatta imeweka mikakati kabambe ya kuinua viwango vya tasnia ya michezo nchini Kenya.
My government has and will continue to support you.
Mikakati hii ni pamoja na ujumuishaji wa michezo kwenye mtaala mpya wa elimu ya umilisi KBC.
So if they start introducing that at the lower level, and then this kid grows knowing that he's an athlete, he'll get into very high levels at a very young age.
Kwa uhondo huu,
My name is Rosemary Warongo and I'm a wildlife folio.
The Grevy's zebra is one of Africa's most endangered animals.
In Kenya we have 2,812. How they live as families, it's just like the way we live at home.
All you need is a camera. Take a photograph.
I just take the image and drag it in the software.
Upload it onto the website and participate as a citizen scientist. This is Wildlife Warriors. And I'm Paula Kahumbu.
Tunaenda tu chini mpaka chini, lakini tutafika chini, tuizifika chini. Welcome back. We continue with Entertainment Thursday, still having so much more lined up for you, and we want to move on to the second interview for the day. And kama kawaida, tukona Miss D on the other end. Remember, use the hashtag Good Morning Kenya. We'll be checking in with you in not too long. But for now, let us head on out and listen to the radio once again. D, over to you.
Yes, we are still here at the Kenya Cultural Center, or Kenya National Theatre, whichever one you prefer, by the way. It's all up to you. But we are still here. We're having this conversation on theatre, on matters arts, and specifically narrowing it down to theatre. We had the stakeholders on our first conversation. Right now we have the players, yes, the ones that we were talking about creativity. Let's just get to also hear their perspective on matters art. And also we'll just touch a bit on this ongoing festival, which is the Kenya International Theatre Festival, still ongoing up until the 14th of November, began on 2nd, and it's all about creating awareness and popularizing art as a whole. So we begin from my guest again. This is my three guests this morning. All of them are actors, and we start from my immediate, I keep confusing, this is what? My immediate right? The art is always easy and chilled. So my immediate right, this is Eileen Anyona. She's an actress who also doubles up as a director. That is at Miller's Production. Right next to her is Mike Ndeda, who's an actor from the same production house, that is Miller's Production. And again, right next to me, that is to my immediate left, this is Flora Okonji. Flora Okonji, I had to say her name twice for obvious reasons. She is also an actress from the same production house, that is Miller's Production. Guys, let's just start from what the stakeholders are talking about, and even just pick it up from what the CEO said. And maybe I can begin with the gent, the only gent in this mix. This is you, Mike. Ati wasanii hamna creativity. Kwanza na hiyo imekutouch sana.
Hiyo imenigusa. So I think wasanii wako na the creativity they need, but kuna ile haujui fanya nini na talent yako, ama uko na talent but watu una trust na talent yako hawajui wafanye nini talent yako. So kuna hiyo back and forth yenye tumekwama hapo katikati, watu hawajui nini wafanye.
Eileen kwanza alikuwa anasikia hata akwe wa kwanza, just wondering, why are you saying we're not creative enough? I mean, I was even asking the CEO, do you know what goes into place? From the scripting to rehearsals to actually staging the play. Maybe we can get your perspective as the players in the industry.
Okay.
So I think that the thing is with corporates or with people who are, let me say, like, parents' age bracket, they had this idea of creativity. So when the youth are trying so much to revolutionize it, they feel like it's different. So the idea is that they're not very accepting to it. So now it's like, oh, there's no creativity, because the idea of creativity is headed towards a certain direction. Also, just to add on what he said, I think the problem is there's the creativity, but then it doesn't take one person, and you also need an audience and you need support. And the problem is people are not very accepting to things that are headed towards the direction of art. So you find that you're maybe a poet, you're a painter, you're an actor, you are a singer, but there's nobody to really support. So it's like, oh, because we're not seeing it, then it's not there. But the thing is, it's there, you're just not looking for it, or looking in the right direction. Sorry, looking in the right direction, because even Kenyans, it's almost like it's lacking. So that's why you find people saying things like, oh, Kenyans don't know how to act, oh, there's no singers in Kenya. There's all that. We're just not supportive enough to Kenyans, and especially young people. Yeah, because of the whole idea.
You talk about support, and I want Flora to chime in onto that, because the CEO just told us that as it is, government's already doing enough. Okay, not as much as enough, but at least it's doing something, because we have policies, structures, at least ziko hapa na pale. Shida tu ni nyinyi wasanii, by the way, according to him.
Well, so that's a really interesting question, asking on the side of the policies, because I'm a lawyer by profession. And we all know that laws in books is totally different from law in practice. So the government could be doing a lot, but then you ask yourself, is the government doing a lot for the stakeholders? Because then if the government is channeling its funds to the stakeholders, are we saying the funds are getting to the artists and the artists are just sitting down? So the government is probably giving money to the stakeholders, and they would tell you the government is giving us money. But we are not getting that money. If they say we are not creative enough, right now KidFest happens once in a year, and they get just a few production houses to perform. Now, at what point do you decide that the creativity levels are low? Because did you source for these creative minds? There's so many creative minds out here, but you didn't know why. We want to cycle directors, and if we want to come here and pick artists from theater, we pick a few, and then they get maybe extra roles. But the truth is, even if you transition from theater to film, there is constant faces that you'd see in Kenyan films, and that is outright wrong. So when you come and say, oh, these people are not creative, come here and see people rehearsing under these trees, then you'd see the real art. But if you come to KidFest, you'll see the lucky few, and we are very privileged to be chosen. You'll see the lucky few. But there's people out here who are really talented, but you wouldn't know why, because you're not on the ground, and you're not even sending as much as representatives to source for this talent. So there is creativity. The government has put up right policies, and the government is probably giving money, but the money is for the artists, supposedly, but is not getting to the artists.
Now you speak, and I feel like I wish we would have had this conversation with the stakeholders together with the players. So from what you're saying is that actually the problem is not the artist or the government, there's a missing
the intermediary, because the artist doesn't, the government doesn't necessarily come to the artist and say, this is your money for production for this particular play. No, there are people who have sat, and countries like Nigeria, they have a whole ministry for arts. In Kenya, we do not have that, but we don't have a whole ministry for arts, but we have a ministry for culture, and they are definitely having these conversations, and they have the budgets for this, and the ministry will someone in the ministry say, now we are going to we want to sponsor this, and people will collect this money, and who want to them if they would collect this money and come and look at our eyes and say we are not creative. We are creative, but we can't be creative in the bathroom.
Hii convo ya creativity imewashika sana.
Imetubo.
Personal. The way you guys are speaking is like, do you know what actually goes into a theater?
They don't know. Background is different. Totally different.
All right, guys, let's talk about another aspect. This is about professionalizing art. You know, also a good number of stakeholders will also tell you that the problem again with Kenyan artists, or even the art itself, is that we just want to do things kienyeji. There's that bit of professionalism lacking into it. And maybe I can start with you, Eileen. Let me just pick your mind on that. Do you feel like that is also a case? And maybe if it's an issue, what can be done to make it as professional as any other craft or any other job?
Okay, so I'd say it starts from the very beginning. You find that most people actually get to experience art or actually take part in it after high school. Yeah. And the thing is, when you join at that point, you're fresh from high school and you know the very bare minimum. And you get to this industry and people are telling you, I'm giving you exposure. I'm giving you exposure, you know? And you're there, you're thinking, okay, people will actually know me and all of that. And so you're growing into the art itself, in the industry itself, thinking, okay, I need exposure. Okay, it's okay if I'm given this much. It's okay if I do things in this manner. Because, you know, when you have no information, then you get to do things the way you're told or how you found things going on. So I think the first bit that we need is the information. We need to actually tell, you know, artists need the information that, you know, things need to go towards this direction, things, because there's people who've had the privilege to experience this part where you're being told, oh, I'm giving you exposure, oh, you know, I'll give you 2,000, you know, and they've also gotten to experience the other side where things are professional, because you can't say that there's the entire lack of professionalism. There is, you know, in some production houses and in some places where you'd find that it's really practiced, but then there's the majority where you pick artists and you're telling them, I'm giving you exposure, or I'm giving you 2,000, or you know what, I will pay for your fare and I'll give you food and you get exposure. So you're there, you're thinking, all right, okay, this is fine. But I think what is needed the most is, you know, artists to actually understand what professionalism is. Am I getting into this with a contract, or am I getting there being told, all right, you will be given, you know, you won't have to buy your own costumes, and I'll give you food and I'll give you lunch, and you know what, if the show sells, then you'll have some money. But you see, the problem would be that people do not have the information. They don't know who can lead me towards knowing how professional or how things need to be done. Yeah, and I think that's very, very, very important. And even if there's any laws in place for in anything, how does this information get to the people? You know, yeah, how does this information get to the, and especially when they're starting, because when someone's starting, they're very naive. And they'll just take whatever they're given.
All they have is talent.
Yes, and all they have is talent. And they'll grow into it thinking, this is okay, and this is how it needs to be.
Let me come to you, Mike. What is wrong with exposure? Umetoka tu high school wewe pia wewe. Nakupea platform. What is wrong with exposure?
I think ukitoka high school, unajua nile drama festival, umeshatoka drama festival, unaweza sema population ya the people wanatoka drama festival ni ka 1 million for four leavers. So after kumaliza high school unaenda wapi? Unaona, so kuna wale wanaona ni kama tukitoka drama festival tunaenda sasa kufanya our courses. Unaona, tunasema naenda kufanya law, medicine, vitu kama hizo, but kidogo sana wanajua ni wanaifanya kama passion. But na reason ni tumetoka high school, hatujui kama ni art iko pale for commercial purpose ama inakusaidia aje. Most of the time ulikuwa unatoka high school ni ile kama hata your parent, usifanye hizo vitu, una waste time, usifanye hizo vitu, ama fanya lakini
utafanya kitu kingine,
fanya lakini usome, ama fanya alafu ukimaliza utafanya kitu kingine.
But pia kuna seriousness flani yenye people don't take art with.
Exactly. Okay. So na unatoka kuna like right now campuses, watu wanafanya theater film, watu wanasomea, but unasomea alafu the industry maybe bado industry haijaanza ku accommodate watu, so unapata umetumia 844, ni kama tuseme 84, alafu tena the 4, alafu nini inafanyika after the 844? Umeona, so industry itakuwa ni ina fail, ama hatujui kama ina fail ama iko sawa juu ina work.
Okay. Alright, that makes sense. I mean, Flora, what is wrong with exposure? Because, and maybe you can also just put your low mind into it, because going even by what Alina said, umetoka high school, you see the much you have is talent. Na kwanza kama ulikuwa mtu wa drama fest, such kind of things, they still are into you. You're coming into this space. I have a production company. You have the talent, but I still have to teach you and train you, because it's not talent that will sustain you in this kind of industry. So when someone comes, a producer, a director, tells you, I can see your craft, I can see your talent, but I'm giving you exposure. You will learn as you go. What is so wrong with that?
I think it makes people complacent. Now, once someone attains the age of 18, they've attained age of majority, and now this means that you can legally employ someone, and they can legally work for you. Now, if a production house is coming to ask me, as someone who's just left high school, to come and join their production team, first things first is my input there is going to earn them money.
Yes.
If my input there is going to earn them money, then rightfully, whether I'm learning or not, it's like saying, because now you are an intern, it's automatic that you don't have to be paid. While there could be, different production houses could probably look at ways of remuneration, or probably just appreciating upcoming actors, there could be a cap to it. Let's say you're going to be on probation for 2 months. For 2 months, you're learning, because actually drama and theater, two different things. So for 2 months, you're learning, but you can't learn forever. You'd find people who are 11 years into the craft.
I like that. You can't learn forever.
You can't learn forever, and sometimes you learn better on the job. So if you know that to whom much is given, much is expected. So if I'm going to give you a job and tell you, this is a contract, this is what I expect from you, it's a job, you're serious. So it starts, the lack of professionalism starts from how people approach this whole idea. They come and say, we kuja nitakupatia show, alafu kutakuwa na madrinks, mapicha huko. It starts,
how is that supposed to help?
Yes, it starts right from how that arrangement and that work relationship was initiated. So if you're going to initiate it by saying just come ni exposure is good, but to some level. But once you start growing, even as an individual, you can't eat exposure. Like you can't pan fry exposure and then add some black pepper on it. And so I think it's just the approach that even the producers and the production houses themselves are giving to this whole thing. And it's not even different in film. I promise you'd go to one of big production houses, you'd go there as an extra, spend the whole day, and they give you 1,000 shillings. And you've spent, unajua hata kama ungefanya mjengo ungeanza saa moja, you can't start at 7 a.m. and finish at 7 p.m. and get that amount, you know. So it's just the laxity and the complacency that people have in terms of, these are just young people are suffering. You know, you get that even in professions, and now you want to get that in art. Young people are suffering, nikimpatia 1,000, they'll take it and they'll move on. So I would say it starts from how the relationship was created. If it starts with come and get exposure, it's good, but let's put a cap on the exposure levels. And probably even the Ministry of Labor should take a keen interest on this, because so many people, and you come to the Kenya National Theatre during the week, you find so many creatives, and they're doing rehearsals, and it's work. So it should be treated as such.
And I think it was very important for me to actually ask that, and I like the way you've addressed it, like, let's put a cap, because it's good to get exposed, you know, because perhaps the production house is training you, but to what extent, and up until how long? The way she mentioned, you can't eat exposure until Jesus comes. There needs to be a time where you actually begin appreciating. So that makes a lot of sense.
Totally.
Okay, now let's talk about the event, because you are, you know, lucky enough, if I can say, or to be part of this festival. As Flora mentioned, see production houses zote ama all shows that were ever done that actually got into this space. Maybe Mike, you can explain to us, how did you find yourself as a production company getting into this kind of festival, and what would you guys be performing?
So I think in July we had a show at KNT, so it was, I can say it was big. So I think the organizers of the event, Kid Fest, came to watch the event, and I think they loved it. So I think they want to give us this opportunity to showcase it again. I think we are doing it the third time. The third time. Because on July we had a rerun of the same play, so I think it's a big show, and that's why we got the chance to perform at the Kid Fest.
Okay, fair enough. Which play is this one specifically? Because I know as Millers you've done a whole lot of plays. So which one is this one, and what is so peculiar about this particular?
I'd say, first of all, the play is Blackout. Blackout is a very interesting play. I'd say it's well written, and I'd say that the peculiar thing about Blackout is the issues that it touches on and how it is executed. Because you can touch on serious matters, but be very friendly about it so that people understand, because things happen in society and people relate to them. But sometimes when when I come for a play, I'm not coming for you to bombard me with information on my face or like tell me, oh, take this, take that. We're supposed to create conversations around things that are going on and happening in society, and I think that's the wow thing about Blackout, because you will come and when you leave the play or the auditorium, you'll be like, okay, I enjoyed the play, but I also learned something and I got reminded that this is going on. So what am I doing about it? What do I think about it? And I'd just like to also go back a little bit on the exposure thing, and I'd like my biggest concern would be when you tell an artist or a young artist, and I'm giving you exposure, what are you exposing them to? Are you exposing them to talent and the acting and that bit of it, or are you exposing them to the audience? And if you're giving me exposure, so what do I gain? Because if it's supposed to be like scratch my back, I scratch your back. So if you're giving me exposure, what am I gaining from the exposure? I'm giving you my talent. I'm coming with my talent. All right. So if you're exposing me, because like she mentioned, we need to treat it as a job, because it is a job. The problem is when they keep asking us, so you're an artist, what else do you do? Or so okay, who are you? I'm an artist, but what do you do? The problem is we don't treat it as a job. So you come there and you're like, oh, I'm giving you exposure. But when you think about it, in any other job, if you got employed, you're fresh from college, for example, so you only have the papers, you don't have exposure. But they don't tell you I'm paying you with exposure. Yeah, and you still get the exposure to the job. You get to network. So you do go look for a job, and they tell you, okay, you will network. So you need to take this job because you will network. So if we don't do that with other jobs, so why are we doing that with art?
Eileen has changed the trajectory of this conversation, but who are we? We'll come to Blackout in just a short while with you, Flora. But let's take a bit into that. When you talk about, so when you say that you're giving me exposure, what are you giving me? And I think a good number of production companies will tell you, the way you've just mentioned, I want you to network. Particularly like for this event, the Kid Fest, just as also the CEO has mentioned earlier, is that he also wants corporates to be part of this event, and I believe there are actually some corporates who are here. So a good number of such people will tell you these corporates are coming here, so it's your chance to take advantage of that. Does that even help in any way?
First of all, I think how corporates look at art in itself is very different. And when you say about corporates, maybe showing interest in you, in what sense? To begin with, because if maybe a corporate will attend the whole festival, maybe they get to watch one or two plays and be like, okay, I really enjoyed what they did. So what are they doing about it? They'll wait for them to have their AGM meeting and tell you guys, okay, I'm inviting you to perform. I think it really begs the question of, if you're giving me exposure, what am I gaining from that exposure? Because fine, I've been exposed, and then because if you ask me, most corporates don't even really invest their coin in art. Yeah, that maybe when they attend an event or maybe an exhibition, maybe a poetry session and things like that, they come to unwind. They don't come, okay, I'm coming to look for fresh talent in the market. Yeah, they really don't give it maybe an eye or an ear They just assume it. So when you tell me you're giving me exposure, are you willing to prove to me what I'm gaining from that exposure? Because if you're exposing me, then I should be able to gain from it. Because what do I get from people knowing me or people knowing that I can act? Am I getting something? Yeah, I think that's...
What about you, Mike? I mean, when you were beginning, was this how it was like for you? Like, you just come, tutakureimburse tu fare na lunch, so zingine wewe sasa wetu jipange tu, you know, if you make it. Because, you know, when you look at arts as a whole, the way art has been termed is that industry of, by the ikijipa ni sawa, ikikosa pia kuna venye we look for something else to do.
I think sisi tukianza ilikuwa ni umejaribu mara mingi, alafu unamwacha nijianzie yangu. Like, let's say Miller's production ilianza, it was friends who know each other. Okay, let's come together, we try if we can make a coin from it. Naona, and ikaanza like...
Let me cut you short just right there. Let me interject there. Just looking at that foundation, wacha tuanze to try tuone kama ita make coin.
I think ina work everywhere, because even for film people are complaining about the same faces, but you see the same faces in the industry pia wamejaribu for many years, because most of the companies that tunaona the film industry ni private, so these people pia wamejaribu, so when they get that spot, you know the problem, when that person gets that spot ni hivo zitoki, unaona, because nimetry. So I think even ndo kuko.
So does that also bring that idea of, by the way, nikishapata hiyo sport kama Millers, kama Apex, hata kama nita recycle Flora mpaka Yesu arudi, you know?
Because pia ni identity, pia unajipatia identity, unaona? Because even in acting, ama in art, kuna ule specific actors wanajulikana wanafanyanga these specific roles, unaona? So industry inakuwa more of typecasting. I'll get to audition like 1 million people, but I already know who's going to play those roles, unaona? So it's just for formality, unaona? So
of course that in itself presents a very big challenge. And you see, I always say that cuts across in arts, not even just acting, singing. If you are in an arts industry, that also inclusive of media, you know, that is entirely art. It is a very big challenge that cast watu, but you know, this is the presenter that I want, but you just come do the auditions. This is the actress that I want for this particular role, but you just come do the auditions. What do you feel can be done then? Because then again, I want to also be on this other side and try and think for the producer's side, or even for the one giving that job. Don't you feel like maybe they're in that place of, if I get this particular person that I've been used to get, inafanya pia company yangu ina stay that place that it needs to stay. It makes my production house, or even if it's that media space, stay in that place that it needs to stay. But again, on this other side, coming to the player side, it has to change, because I mean, we still have talent coming up.
I think kila mtu akona pressure fulani. Mona, the producers akona pressure ni invest my money in this, so director nataka kitu fulani, director actor nataka kitu fulani, actor pia sasa hiyo craft, mona, so kuna pressure from huko juu, mona, so director ako in a position ya mbona nipatie Mike hii role na kuna mtu fulani anaweza fanya hii role na to meet demands za producer, like pesa itarudi, unaona, na ni si kwa sababu this person is more talented than this other person, because it's business, unaona.
It's business, and I feel like sometimes that is the part we really don't get as artists, that in art we have the talent bit of it, we have the commercial perspective, which is the business perspective, but then again, where do we get the balance? Because honestly, pia Kenya Mike anasema makes a lot of sense, you know, as a producer, as a media owner, I'm thinking if I get Flora, I'll make more money than if I get Eileen. Not to say that Eileen is not as talented as you, but only that there's something about your face and your craft that people have identified so much with, that I'm so sure if I get you in that play of mine, it will give me those returns. But again, I have to draw that balance. What do we do?
It's hard. It's actually really hard to pinpoint that this is where we have a veil. This is where we have a veil between business and now the craft. Because as Mike says, most of these producers or production houses, they're privately owned, and so it means they have actually put their own money in there. But it gets boring. it gets boring. And in as much as the producers and the money owners may not want to agree, it gets boring to every time see a particular face on screen, because that's what they can do. And I promise you, there's so much talent that has been untapped. And I like to watch Kenyan productions, and I also love generally to watch African productions, South African productions. And if you go to Showmax right now and you type a particular name for a Kenyan actor, chances are you'll get so many other productions that they are in. Go to South African plays, you type South African, if it's a TV series or a movie, you type a name there. It's not as rampant, and they're actually very good actors. So I think the only thing I'd say is take a chance. Take a chance. You might think, oh, this is the person that people actually really, really love, but guess what? You might never know that there is someone who people would be a darling to people, but is just still untapped. So we're just asking them to take a chance. But while they're not, we are taking our own chances, and we are shooting our own short films. We are going to do theater because it's what we love. Yeah.
Is it like a blessing in disguise? Because we keep having these conversations, especially of these owners or stakeholders. Take a chance on this untapped talents, but it's like nothing is really happening. So is this why most production companies, the way just Mike said, coming together as friends or people with the same idea and purpose, and saying, by the way, ebu shake it to 1, 2, 3. If we can shoot like a short film, or if we can create this play, hata kama itatupatia returns, but let's just do something. Let's put ourselves out there.
Well, I think it's just, Mike says, and rightfully so, that Millers started as a group of friends, and I'm lucky to be one of the people who was part of Millers when it started. And it doesn't mean we've blocked people. It doesn't mean you constantly see the same people on stage. And they are good people, but it doesn't mean that they always have to be there. We outsource. As small as we are, we outsource. We get other people to come in, and every single time you'd see a new person on stage, because we are giving chances to every other person, regardless of whether they were pioneers or not. The issue with other people outside this in the industry is they are threatened, and rightfully so, because people are good. They are threatened, and it would mean if someone is good and they just get out there and people see them, it could be over for them. And it's sad, but that's true. It would be over for them. Yeah.
Okay. What was your experience like? I mean, it looks like if you speak to a good number of actors, they will tell you. And even as you go back to that issue of creativity, exposure, trying to get a chance, it just looks like it's the same issues cutting across most of the actors, only that the experience is quite different.
Yeah, the experience is quite different, and also stories differ from person to person. I was lucky to join Millers, and there wasn't anything like exposure. Millers was my first commercial theater production to join, and I got paid for what I did. Now, my other challenges haven't been on theater, but in trying to now venture into film. And the truth is, so many of these amazing film actors came right from this place, theater. And they're amazing. So I've been trying to venture. I was trying to venture for a while back there into film. And you meet things like, we're looking for someone who's in their mid-20s, who is tall, who is confident enough, and then you're thinking, wow, this is it. And then you go there, and then what they didn't tell you in that poster is they were also looking for a light person. Now,
you still have those things, eh?
Yes. A lot. And they would say, now we take you, you're good, but we're actually looking for someone who's of a lighter shade. And they try to make it look really cute, a lighter shade.
You're actually in your moment.
Yes, and then one time I went into an audition just after a really beautiful girl. She's mixed race. She just left out, and I heard them say, "Sasa situfunge tu," and I'm the next. So I'm like, should I don't be too near end or something. So you see, those are things that are still there. and people need to look past these things. It's enough. There are bad people who are dark. There are bad people who are light, and I don't think light skin and dark skin should really come into play when you're looking for a characters. Some of the characters might make sense, but others really it's a lot of baloney.
Eileen, you are really like agreeing a lot when Flora is talking about that issue of lighter skins, and it looks like, because I mean you're trying to get solutions to try and make art, because when you look at art in all totality, theater specifically looks like to still be one of those arts struggling, and it seems that it's still a challenge. Much as we talk about policies, structure, we talk about exposure, creativity, there's still those things that, I mean, it's just beyond our control. What am I supposed to do about being light skinned? That you'd want a light. What am I if I was dark? What am I supposed to do about being light for you to have me on this play? And it looks like you've had your experience.
So first of all, what you were talking about theatre struggling. I'd say one of the biggest challenges is that Kenyans, I'd say Kenya because this is where we live, this is what we know. Kenyans do not have a theatre going culture or a film going culture. You tell somebody, I have a play and the ticket is 1,000 shillings, and someone asks you a question like, why would I pay 1,000 shillings to come and watch something for 2 hours?
I'm always in pair complimentary.
I'm always in pair complimentary. Mimi ni rafiki yako, so wache tu niingie. I think that's one of the things that we struggle with the most, trying to convince people that they actually need to come and watch plays, need to go to theaters and watch maybe musicals. There's poetry, there's so much, there's dances and all of that. So you put in a lot of effort, but people, it's a bit struggling because, like I said, it's not a one department kind of thing. It needs everybody to be a player. And then when you talk about the light skin and those challenges, I'd say a lot of maybe casting directors in Kenya, there's a particular people they want to show us on screens. You know how some ideas are shoved down your throat, but almost unknowingly. For example, we used to grow up saying, I want a tall, dark, handsome. It's because that's what we were being shown. And now when you look at it now, as somebody who's auditioned so many times, I understand what she's saying, because sometimes a poster would be very general. A casting call would be very general and say, I'm looking for a female between 20 to 29 years old, and then you're like, okay, that's my age bracket and I can play a role in that. But you go there and you will not be picked for the mere fact that you don't look like a very small girl, like who's between you're like, so that's what I mean. So yes, and there's sometimes it will be like you look at a lot of casting calls, and when it comes to a role of a female, it's like she needs to be light. You'd meet every other.
This light, is it specific on that casting call, or they just give every other thing and then they leave light skin?
A lot of times I'd say it's almost a balance, but there's a lot of times you'd see casting calls where they say, I'm looking, she has to be light. She has to be can do she has to be light. And then there's times when you'd go for maybe when you've gone to be an extra on set, or maybe when you've gone for an audition. And then let me start by when you're an extra on set and you notice, okay, a lot of these characters are just light skins. Maybe it was a requirement. So what do we do? And then you'd come and blame people for bleaching. They're just trying to fit in, because I'm good, but I'm not being picked because I'm not light. I'm not being picked because I'm small. I'm not being picked because I'm ABCD. I think there's no inclusivity in that sense, because they want to show us a particular image, and expect you to meet that standard.
Wow, I mean, clearly there's a lot that needs to be done. Let me come to you, Mike. I mean, especially on that particular issue, looks like to still be a pertinent issue when it comes to art. Theater rather, film. Does the same also go for males? Because oftentimes just females who say, they say that they has to be 20 to 29 and light skinned. Does it also go for males?
I think kuna hiyo kitu ya the perfect guy ama the perfect woman. So I think it apply everywhere. So what happens when you have the character description, then you have someone who's not talented. That's hiyo ndio inakuja inafanyika. We have stories.
Yeah.
People can't tell the stories because you've casted them because of how they look. Unaona? This person is not talented but fits your character description. This other person is talented but does not fit your character description, and you want this other person to tell the story you have written.
So you want the character description to tell the story, or vice versa?
The talent to tell the story.
Okay, fine.
Because you cannot have someone who's not talented. Kuna those points when unaangalia theater performance or film performance, then you're like, hapo ongeka tu mtu fulani, ongeka mtu fulani, you already have this person in mind mwenye angefanya a better job.
I mean, I feel like we needed to have like a very long time. There's a lot that needs to be talked about, but we'll finish this conversation with the blackout, because we changed a bit just to try and understand also how you guys got yourself here. Yeah. And I'd want you to just, brief us into that, and also what it is that you really hope to achieve from this festival, given that you're one of those production companies in Kenya that at least have managed to be in this festival.
I think we get good ambassadors of our stories. That is one. We are lucky to have our stories written on papers, and we would also like to say a very special thank you to Margareta. Yeah, she really writes amazing pieces about our plays, and we were able to catch the eyes of Kid Fest. This is our first time being nominated to actually be on Kid Fest. Yeah. So we were nominated to be on Kid Fest based on the Blackout play, and it's going to show on the 7th at 5:30 p.m. and it's a theme-based story. I think one of the reasons why people find it hard to watch theater sometimes, it's you don't know what the theme is. Everything is, people think theater is about making people laugh, but most importantly it's about telling a story realistically. So it's themed and it's based on drugs and life for campus students and young people. So it's something that students and campus people can relate with, people who've been to campus can relate with, and parents need to know what's going on with their kids in campus, whether or not they went to campus. So we were privileged to be able to be nominated for Kid Fest.
So when will you be performing the Blackout?
We'll be performing the Blackout on the 7th of November, this coming Sunday at 5:30 p.m. in the Kenya National Theatre, the main auditorium. Yeah.
Do people need to get tickets, buy, or what is it?
Yes, you can get your tickets from the Kid Fest Kid Fest website, and we also have links on Facebook. Currently they're running sponsored ads, so it would be easy to just if you meet the sponsored ads, you can buy it. Otherwise you just type Kid Fest 2021 on your social media handles and you get all the data and links to purchase your tickets. Tickets go for 1,000 bob.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys, for coming through and talking to us a bit about, not even a bit actually, about art. Yeah. And go get the tickets, going for 1,000 bob, as Flora has mentioned, also as the entire team is just alluding to. Their show will be on 7th. That is the Blackout, one of their best shows. And even while you're at it, the festival is still ongoing up until the 14th of November. We can have these conversations on end, but if you don't come to support the arts, then clearly we'll be doing less and less in terms of supporting art. So this have been my guest this morning. To my immediate left, this is Flora Okonji. She's an actress from Miller's Production. To my immediate right is Mike Ndeda from the same production, that is Miller's Production. And to the farthest right is Eileen Anyona, doubles up as an actress as well as a theatre arts director from the same production house, that is Miller's Production Company. Again, like I said, it's still an ongoing festival, so come support art to the fullest up until 14th of November. We take again a very short breather. Good Morning Kenya still continues after this break. Stay with us. We have overrun.
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest breaking news, entertainment, sports, politics, lifestyle or business trends from Kenya and around the world. Never miss new episodes from your favorite TV shows, reruns and movies. Just stream online or watch live on your YouTube channel at KBC Channel 1 TV shows. For the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news and family entertainment, log on to KBC Channel 1. Watch what you want anytime, anywhere.
We take it on at the right time.
Honorable Musalia Mudavadi.
The Honorable Mutahi Kagwe.
Chief Justice Martha Karambuko.
This is KBC, the voice of Kenya.
Asking the right questions.
I don't know how it made you feel as speaker who is presiding over a house where members can be compromised with 10,000 shillings.
We keep our guests comfortable. A mission to ensure our audience gets a complete story.
For a few hours or so, I thought this is it. My end has come.
If really we want an end of this pandemic, we must fight.
Our goal, to tell it as it is for the benefit of our viewer.
And I'm sure we will have good discussions.
All right.
That will make probably your viewers understand KDF better.
With 21 radio outlets.
During a live interview on KBC TV, Chief of Defense Forces General Robert Kibosha.
Jaji mkuu kwa mara ya kwanza katika mahojiano yake ya kipekee na runinga ya KBC Channel 1.
And 2 TV stations covering over 90% of the entire country. The message always gets home. KBC, the home of on-air TV interviews.
That is missing. Yeah. One day, or hungly work with two for once. Director, producer, music selector, who is kidding? Hello. I have a question, Jen. Have you ever had
a specific request before you ask your question?
Take note. That one?
Yes.
Kenya amesema
sijui. Director, umesikia hiyo story? Please, wake up kwa rundown.
Now ask your question.
Have you ever had this situation where uko na mende kwa nyumba but before you kill it unaongea na unaenda wapi? Wewe.
Unalipa rent kwa nyumba.
Ona ameende kuja. Unaenda wapi?
The audacity.
Na bado kufi utajua mimi ni nani hapa.
And if you make a fikiria ile conversation nayo before you get to annihilate it. Iko sawa. Anyway, this is Entertainment Thursday. 3 tracks just came your way. We had Salute by King Kiba and of course Paul Okoye. Then came in Nobody, Fireboy right there. And of course tumefunga na the African Giant. Burna Boy himself. And of course this also sums up the program as a whole. We want to bring it to a close. But of course we appreciate you for all the time that you have accorded us this morning. And by the way, you interviewed Doreen about the arts. Man,
that has just completely painted the whole picture about art and the media, the art and the art industry and film industry. Of course, there's that festival that is continuing at the Kenya National Theatre. If you have time, go there. We have got international artists and guests who are gracing that particular event. So you go down there. It's a weekend. There's something quite fundamental they've talked about is that the art industry in Kenya is still not getting that a lot of recognition that it deserves. But then now, most of the artists, truth be told, that there is talent in the country. There is talent, but the only request I have is that perhaps the government should just do slightly kidogo to akaze to that kanat, so that you go out there, tap the talent, not just recycling the same faces that they have talked about over and over and over and over again. Tap, because one gentleman, Mike Ndeda, said that after high school, what next? All right, you find that over 500,000 students, get out of school from Form 4. We see them at the national festivals, solo verses, the choral verses, the plays. Where do they go? the best actresses, the best actors, you know, all those people, where do they go? So perhaps the government, if you ask me, should just do slightly more than they're doing right now to make sure that talent is nurtured properly, because talent pays. Talent
It does.
Yeah.
Hapa tunalipwa kuogea.
Exactly.
Ni kipaji.
Kipaji.
But as we also get to close the program, we want to appreciate those of you who have been tuning in. Let me just send some love to those who are actually commented on our live stream on Facebook. Naona Kamawa Comp KE anasema good morning. Now watching via one of the local distributors. Thank you so much. Gira Levix watching live from EPZ Poivi Rwaka. We also have Moses Solomon. Good morning, my friend. Yeah, America friend. What's up? We have Victor Marciaya.
Yes.
Watching
Victor
the show from
Siaya.
Alego, Karapul, Siaya County.
Yes.
Umetambua hiyo?
I know where Karapul is. We once went there for a trip when we were in class 8.
Where? Karapul. Big shout out to everyone who's watching from there. And finally we have Wakienyeji Production Amid. Leo Kienyeji imekuwa prominent. It has featured a lot here, and I'm loving the show and following up. Thank you so much for, you know, being part of the show from the time we started, 6:30 a.m. up until now. We want to call it a program, call it a week, but remember we do this every single Monday through to Thursday. Hey, maybe not Friday, but this is our Friday from 6:30 at 10 a.m. I am General Boy. Tupatane tena next week. Victor.
All right, absolutely. And for me, I just need to plead with you, if you've not taken your voter registration, if not registered as a voter, remember the IEBC extended that period until next week on Tuesday, when the High Court ruling will be heard and determined. But between now and next week, please go out there and register as a voter. You have a right to exercise your civic duty. Thank you so much for being a part of the show from Monday until this particular moment. We have to say Erokamano Ahenya for watching the show. Let's meet again Monday next week. Take care of yourself. Remember, good people do not misbehave. Don't misbehave. All right? Bye. See you then. Bye-bye.
Na hii ni Bitikasi Leo, makala kutoka BBC yaliyomo. Mulipe au tuangamie sote. Rais wa Malawi Lazarus Chakwera atoa makataa kwa mataifa yaliyostawi kusaidia bara la Afrika. Kipi kipya kutoka COP26. Baadaye mataifa tajiri kutoa dola bilioni 8.5 kumaliza uraibu wa Afrika Kusini wa kuzalisha nishati ya makaa ya mawe. Kisha mamia ya watu bado wanasaka jamaa zao baada ya jumba kuporomoka likijengwa huko Nigeria. Mbashara kutoka Nairobi, Kenya. Tuende kazi. Masalamu popote ulipo, karibu katika toleo la leo. Makala yanaangazia habari za biashara zinazokuhusu. Uchambuzi wa kina na mahojiano ni Telenas Mwashigadi. Tuelekee mjini Glasgow, Scotland, ambapo Uingereza, Ujerumani, Marekani, Ufaransa na Umoja wa Ulaya zimetangaza mkataba wa dola bilioni 8.5 na Afrika Kusini ili kuisaidia kufadhili mabadiliko ya tabia nchi yanayotokana na makaa ya mawe. Lengo ni kuongeza kasi ya Afrika Kusini kusitisha uchakati wa nishati ya makaa ya mawe, kuwekeza katika nishati safi na kulinda wafanyakazi wa makaa ya mawe na jamii. Shirika la umeme la Eskom limejitolea kuhakikisha utumiaji mbadala wa vituo vya umeme. Sasa Afrika Kusini ndiyo nchi kubwa nchi ya 12 kubwa zaidi ya kutoa carbon dioxide duniani. Karibia asilimia 80 ya umeme wake huzalishwa kutoka kwa makaa ya mawe. Mwezi Septemba, benki ya China ilitangaza kuwa haitafadhili tena miradi mipya ya uchimbaji wa makaa ya mawe nje ya China kuanzia mwisho mwa mwaka 2021. Uamuzi huu wa China utakuwa na athari kubwa kwa Afrika. Sasa miradi 44 kote ulimwenguni yenye jumla ya dola bilioni 50 imeathiriwa, 9 ambayo iko katika bara la Afrika. Hatua hii inaweza kupunguza utoaji wa hewa ukawa na tani milioni 200 kwa mwaka. Lakini je, Afrika iko tayari kuhama kutoka kwa makaa ya mawe? Mwandishi wa BBC Vumani Mukize anaangazia hilo.
Zaidi ya 80% ya umeme wote wa Afrika Kusini unazalishwa kutoka kwa makaa ya mawe na nyingi hutokea eneo hili Emlaleni katika jimbo la Mpumalanga. Huu ndio ukubwa wa shughuli hapa. Shirika letu la umeme Eskom ni la 12 duniani kwa ukubwa wa utoaji wa hewa ya carbon dioxide. Tuko umbali wa kilomita 12 nje ya Emlaleni, ambayo ina maana ya mahali pa makaa, na sijui kama unaweza kuona, lakini mbele yangu kuna moshi na ubora wa hewa ni mbaya sana, ni vigumu sana kuona. Harufu pia ni kali kabisa, ni harufu mbaya ya gesi chafu iko kwenye hewa. Eneo hili limezungukwa na takriban vituo 12 vya nishati ya makaa ya mawe ambavyo vinatoa tani na majivu ya moshi kila siku. Wakazi wa Emlaleni ambao nyumba zao ziko karibu na migodi ya makaa ya mawe wanasema kuishi hapa ni shida ya kila siku.
Ni balaa kwa sababu mara nyingi ukiona nyumba hizi unaona jinsi zilivyo karibu na mgodi. Wakati wa kulipua, wakati mwingine mawe huanguka juu ya nyumba hizi.
Mawe huanguka kwenye nyumba?
Ndiyo, kutokana na ulipuaji kutoka kwenye mgodi huo.
Unadhani nini kinahitajika kufanywa?
Ninahisi kuwa serikali yetu inasubiri kufungwa kwa migodi na athari za mabadiliko ya tabia nchi na kuchukulia hilo kama janga.